This is the Bank of America Countdown to Green as we get set to go racing.
The 2-mile California Speedway has provided NASCAR fans with a long list of recognizable winners in a short period of time. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth are just some of the stars we've seen shine on this track. Today, fans have come here knowing just 2 events remain in the race to the chase, and not everyone will get in. They're here to cheer their favorite driver one step closer to a run for the championship. The rush for racing gold has come to the land where everything glitters, unless you're 11th in a 10-man race. A summer of speed and excitement has made the turn into September. Left behind in a blistering path toward racing's grandest prize, you'll find the flickering dreams of those that had raging expectations, and those that have finally seen the flame go out. But Matt Kenseth is on fire, black and white hot, with back-to-back wins at Michigan and Bristol, and already locked into NASCAR's championship chase. Kenseth won at California in February. He's a past series champion, and is showing everyone he has all the tools to do it again. Right now, everyone is still chasing this California kid, #1 in the standings and locked into the chase, but he's still chasing his first championship. Behind Johnson and Kenseth, a race for points and positions. NASCAR's brightest stars and biggest surprises, all poised to lock up a playoff berth. 9 men separated by 219 points. 8 of them will make the chase. 1 could get shut out. NASCAR has come to California with the races counting down and the pressure building up. Don't pay any attention to what the calendar says. For the stars of NASCAR, this is Labor Day.
Good job.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR. Today, it's the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, live from the California Speedway in Fontana, California. Hi, everybody, our NBC Race family. Happy to be here. Thanks for sharing part of your holiday weekend with us. This is the Bank of America Countdown to Green. I'm Bill Weber. Talk about playoff pressure. Right off the top, we did the math so you wouldn't have to. The maximum point gain possible in one race is 156 points. The difference between 4th and 11th in the championship standings, 138 points. The top 10 drivers and those tied in the top 10 in points after next week's race at Richmond are eligible for the series championship. The guys behind them are not. 2 races to secure a run at a professional dream, the Nextel Cup. Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth are locked in. If Kevin Harvick finishes 3rd or better today, he's in. The flip side of that is Harvick could also leave here 10th in the championship standings. All the positions 4th through 11th could change. If you are 191 points ahead of 11th after this race, you're in. If you are 157 points ahead of 11th, you lock in by showing up at Richmond next week. I know it's complex, but it's a lot of fun, and we'll walk you through it all night. The guys in the graphics truck are loving it. I've never seen so many slide rules and pocket protectors in my life. And just to keep things honest, 12th place Greg Biffle and 13th place Carl Edwards are still mathematically alive, but would need a small miracle to make the chase. But this is Hollywood, and speaking of that, no one has a more unlikely story of success than the defending champion of this race, 21-year-old Kyle Busch. Tomorrow, the headlines will say Busch won at California.
Here it is.
But it'll be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch wins at California.
Yeah, get it.
Well, Kyle Busch became the youngest winner in NASCAR Nextel Cup Series history here 1 year ago. Tonight, he could lock in his place in the chase or fall out of the top 10. Kyle, yeah, I know. That'd be a good way to start the night, right? How do you race tonight, and does that depend on where Casey Kane is in relation to you?
No, not really. Right now, we're just going out there to do what we know how to do best, and that's to try to win races. And, you know, if we can go out there and just race the way we know how to and kind of run up front and keep ourselves in a good position to win the race, you know, that'd be awesome. But really, when it comes down to it, we don't want to put ourselves in any kind of position that'll take us out of the running. So if it's a top 5 tonight, that's what it's going to have to be.
All right, good luck tonight.
Appreciate it.
Kyle Busch starts 10th. We go to Marty Snyder.
Allen rookie Denny Hamlin is close to locking in his place in the chase. Denny, did you ever believe in your rookie season that you could have a chance to race for the championship?
Well, you know, we got a good shot as any. We just got to get past these next 2 races, and you know, it's been a great rookie year for us in or out. You know, we still had a very successful year.
Of the 2 that are left, which one are you most worried about?
Today, mechanical failures can get you today, pitting out of sequence or something. But you know, I'm real confident how we ran at Richmond in the spring. So if we can get past today, I feel very comfortable.
Hamlin has his favorite race car, the one he won twice with at Pocono. Dave Burns.
Marty, at 251 points from the chase, Greg Biffle is a long shot at best, but with 3 Busch Series wins and a Cup victory here at California, Greg, is there any better place to give it a shot?
Not really. You know, we know we're pretty far out of it, but certainly we're not out of wins yet for the rest of the season. We got 12 chances to win, and that's what we're here to do.
And in case you had any question, Greg does know how to enjoy his very limited free time while he's here in California as well. To Matt Yoakum.
Dave, if Carl Edwards could just throw out a couple of those 100-point costly mechanical failures earlier in the season, he'd be able to lock himself in tonight as well. But 261 markers out of 10th. Do you approach tonight, Carl, more looking ahead to 2007?
Yeah, they weren't all mechanical failures. We only had one of those. Most of them were driver failures, but we just had some bad days. But our Office Depot team, we never give up. We got a great team. We've been running well, but we'll just focus on 2007. You know, I mean, you never know. Things, you know, stranger things have happened, but we could still be in it. But the biggest thing we're going to do is focus on next season, try to get some wins before the year's out.
And what a great place to kind of get back in roll, get that momentum back going. He's never finished worse than 6th in a Cup car here in Fontana. Bill?
Thanks, Matt. Carl finished 43rd in the season opener Daytona 500. Points he may not be able to make up the next 2 weeks. That's the first lap. Here's what's coming up on the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Casey Keene comes to Fontana needing to race his way into the chase. His weekend in California began with a night of fun with some friends from the Nextel Cup Series. Kevin Harvick is back in California, his home state. This weekend he has a chance to make a home for himself in the chase. Matt Kenseth has already clinched a spot in the championship chase for the 3rd straight year. He races into California looking for his 3rd straight win and the California season sweep. And we'll talk with championship contender Mark Martin coming up on the Bank of America Countdown to Green.
Bank of America Countdown to Green, brought to you by Monte Carlo SS, now with the legendary small block V8 and American Revolution. By Valvoline's Max Life, which outperforms conventional motor oils in helping extend engine life. And by Bank of America. Experience higher standards in checking only from Bank of America.
Pleasure to welcome my colleague Wally Dullah back to the Bank of America Countdown to Green. You just heard Denny Hamlin talk about it. This is a fun place for drivers, but the engine builders probably don't sleep the night before this race.
It's pretty much a nightmare for them because this place is so hard on engines. I mean, you're up on the RPMs all the time. You're really not out of the throttle that much, so it does hurt the engines. That's what these guys are sweating right now. Mechanical failure.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., a perfect example from 1 year ago.
Right. I mean, this was the race 1 year ago where they pretty much said, that's it. This cost us a shot at the chase. So these guys have seen some engine problems, and like I said, it's in the back of their minds.
Okay, let's take a look at some of these drivers coming in here trying to get as many points as they can, starting with Earnhardt, who needs a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their past runs here, some of these guys don't have very good finishes, so it comes at a bad time. I mean, Earnhardt Jr., you look at it, his average finish is 29th. So this isn't one of his favorite places as far as his finishes go. So, yeah, he needs a good top 10 run.
Casey Kane went to victory lane last night, needs to do that tonight.
You know, all Casey Kane needs to worry about is just winning races right now because he can't control where the other guys finish. So all they have to do is go out and win the race. He does have a good record here. He has some good finishes here. Obviously, last night they won the Busch race, but look at this. Second, they had a little bit of a problem in February 2005, but they've been in the top 10 every time except for that one.
Kevin Harvick, 3rd or better, he gets in. That would be big for Harvick and certainly big for Richard Childress and his operation.
It really is because, I mean, Richard Childress expects to be in the chase. I mean, they've got such a great race team, and he's not afraid to make changes. They made changes, and both those teams are seeing, I mean, they're both running great. Harvick's had a great year. Burton obviously is having a really good year, and you know, they should have won some races this year.
Right.
And I think they're still going to win some races. Although you can see the pressure on Burton's face and these guys. They want to be in it so bad, and they're feeling that pressure. But but I think they're both going to be in at the end of the day.
You walk through the garage area talking to these drivers, and it's not necessarily what they say, it's almost what they don't say that you have to listen to.
They almost have a zombie look to them because that's all they're thinking about, and you could tell the pressure and the stress of this deal about making. Once Richmond is here and gone and the guys that are in, then they can start having some fun. I think the pressure getting into the chase is worse than winning the championship, and you can see it all over their faces.
And that should make tonight's race pretty exciting.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a great race, and I think you're going to see some guys gamble a little bit, but it should be cool.
All right, we'll look forward to it. I'll see you downstairs in a few minutes.
All right.
All right, Wally Dallenbach will be joining us in the booth for the race tonight here at California. Brian Vickers would like to get to victory lane, looking for his first career win. Could it come tonight? We'll find out. The Bank of America Countdown to Green races on from California. On the 1st of July, Casey Kane looked like a lock for the chase. Tonight, he could get locked out. He has tumbled from 2nd in points to 11th. He won 4 times in the first 15 races. In the next 9 races, he has finished 22nd or lower 6 times and has just 2 top 10 finishes. Kane is a talented racer. He has a bright Hollywood smile and a strong female following, and he's all of 26 years old. Thursday night, he took some friends out for a drive in a race where the real winner was Charity. Dave Burns has the story.
A guy working hard this weekend to get himself into the chase for the championship. One of the brightest young stars in NASCAR, Mr. Casey Kane.
What is Casey Kane doing at a drifting event?
We just thought it up. Thought it'd be fun to put together with the Casey Kane Foundation. It's a big deal to me to be able to try to keep that foundation going strong, raise some money for underprivileged kids, and get some NASCAR drivers involved. These guys are having fun, I think, drifting, and I know the D1 drivers are definitely having a good time too. Here, you want to run as far sideways as possible without spinning around, and that's it's just a completely different way to be sideways to drift. And I guess style and speed's what wins here, and to have speed and not hit the wall or spin out and have style is tough to do.
How are you doing on style?
My style's pretty good. I just got to keep it. I go a little too far once in a while.
What did you think when Casey asked you to come out and go drifting? Did you know what it was?
Well, you know, I'd always been called a drifter, but I didn't think it was this kind of definition of a drifter.
I've got it down pretty good. I'm just working on the technique of how far sideways and how much tire smoke I can make and how good I can make it look.
That second run was absolutely gorgeous.
But what's weird is it's got a lot more grip on that corner, but the small corner where we keep spinning out it's really slick. Yeah.
I said, Greg, you'd ride with me when I go, now I'll ride with you. And I went first, I did terrible. Greg did really good. His second lap, he nailed it, did good, so I'm not too good at it. But them guys all went to Charlotte and tested for a day, and he's been out here, and so that's my excuse. I didn't get as much practice, but he'd probably still be better than me.
You all support various charities. Tell me how drivers help each other out by going to each other's functions.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we can lean on each other for sure. I mean, we try to support each other's charities so that we can get those guys to come to ours as well. And it's kind of an ongoing thing, you know, throughout the community. If we can do it and we got time for it, we definitely like to help what they're doing. And, you know, Casey's got a great charity this week, and we're happy to help.
You come out for a night like this. Does it help to get away, or are you in the back of your mind just thinking the whole time, what can we do to get in this chase?
It's definitely going to be a big weekend for us. We need to run well. I need to win, really. I mean, that's all there is to it. We need to win the race, at least lead laps and finish up front if we want to make the chase. We're running out of time. Every time I finish up, I think about the chase, think about what we got to do this weekend. But it's nice to be able to do this. I didn't think about it when I was drifting there a minute ago, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah! He's a drifter now.
And a season that started so well has unfortunately drifted a bit sideways in the wrong kind of way for Casey. Can you believe that you're battling hard to actually get in the chase now?
I can definitely believe it. The competition and things that go on in the Nextel Cup Series is tough. So we're right there on the outside looking in, and we have a good race car tonight. I'm real excited for tonight and next week at Richmond. So we'll just have to see what happens, but we're going to be right in the middle of it.
Anything from drifting apply from earlier this week?
I used a little drifting last night after I won the Busch race. I drifted down the whole front straightaway, so that was pretty good. And just want to thank all the fans that were part of Wednesday and Thursday in Washington and then at Irwindale, and all the drivers that helped out too. It was a pretty cool event, both of them.
You mentioned one of the coolest things so far at California this weekend. He won the Busch Series race last night, Bill.
Thanks, Dave. Still ahead on the Bank of America Countdown to Green, Wally Dallenbach tries to score some points with our new NBC Colleague Football Night in America analyst Jerome Bettis, the former running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now, where exactly did you get the nickname Bus?
I got it at Notre Dame. The student body just started calling me the Bus, and it kind of just stuck with me, so I ran with it.
This is our NASCAR's version of the Bus.
They got some buses out here, I'll tell you that.
Fans filing into the California Speedway, current temperature 102 degrees. Mark Martin has enjoyed a remarkable career in Nextel Cup, but he has never been able to enjoy winning a championship. 4 times he's finished second in the standings. Maybe this will be Mark's year. After the first 12 races, many fans figured Mark was going to have another shot at the title. 12 races later, no one is sure. 2 weeks ago, he was 4th in points. Today, he is 10th in points. He made the chase the first 2 years and now is trying to make it 3 in a row. Mark Martin trying to get the victory today and get into the chase for the championship. He's with Alan Bestwick.
All right. Well, Mark Martin is just about to cross the stage and get introduced to this large crowd here at the California Speedway. And so we'll catch Mark as he comes down the stage because we don't want to mess up his starting position, although he's well in the back of the field tonight. You know, Mark Martin talked last year about it being his last chance to win a championship in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Then Jack Roush asked Mark to come back in the 6 car for another year in 2006, which he's done, and he has himself again in position to try and win a championship, though he is perilously close to that bubble. See Kenny Wallace crossing the stage being introduced. And Kevin LePage now being introduced, and we should see Mark coming out right now, and we'll probably get a great ovation from this crowd. A very popular driver. Mark may not have qualified very well, but he feels like he has a very solid race car for tonight's race, and we'll ask him here in just a moment about the pressure starting deep in the pack and being so close to the bubble in this race to the chase with just 2 events to go. Well, Mark, starting back 38th in traffic tonight, just 90 points ahead of 11th place. How does your track position and your championship position affect how you race?
We race the same. You know, unfortunately, we're going to be starting the back, but if our car's as good as we think it is, we won't be there long. So I feel real confident in our AAA Fusion. We're going to be good, I think, tonight. I'm not too worried. The Busch car was spectacular last night, and I really believe it'll be really good tonight, too.
All right, good luck, Mark. Thanks. Mark Martin.
Matt? Alan, 1 year ago, Tony Stewart came into Fontana, the championship point leader. Today, he sits 8th in the championship standing. So, Smoke, do you have your spotter, Mark Robertson, keep you abreast of the other chasers during the race?
No, there's still 42 guys that we're trying to beat for a win tonight, and if we win a race, we don't have to worry about that side of it. We help ourselves out. But you know, I'm happy with our Home Depot car. We weren't very good yesterday, but you know, the conditions on Friday were a little bit cooler when we went on the racetrack, and I was really happy with it. So we're just kind of sticking to that plan right now and see what we got.
Now, earlier this week, you were at a big charity event for your buddy Casey Kane. You took an e-ticket ride. Now, on a Smoke scale of 1 to 10, how big was it?
I didn't get the e-ticket. The e-ticket's when you get the emergency room visit, but no, it was a pretty hard hit. We went to Skagit, Washington, which was awesome. It was great to be up there for Casey Kane and his foundation, and was a lot of fun up there, but destroyed a brand new race car. Just had something that was broken the steering that caused us to crash. But it was a lot of fun. I just wish I could have ran more laps. So it was a lot of fun. Raised a lot of money for Casey and his foundation and had a good time. So I'm just glad we're having a good weekend this weekend so far, and definitely I got to stop and take a minute to thank all the guys at Mechanics, where they've been doing an awesome job with our guys this year, and not only the 20 car guys, but the guys on the 11 and the 18 also. So just want to thank everybody at Mechanics Wear this week.
He's never won here, but he's had a lot of success. In fact, his best finished 4th on 2 separate occasions. Dave?
Matt, Kevin Harvick finished 14th in the points last year, but with 2 wins and consistency this year, he spun that program around. There are lots of ways that Kevin Harvick can clinch a spot in the chase today, even if he has an off day. So, Kevin, what's important about today's race?
Well, I think the most important thing for us is to have good performance and run good and try and keep up with the racetrack. That's going to be the hardest challenge that we found out last night. So just keep up with the racetrack and try to do the things we've been doing and try to put ourselves in position to try to win the race at the end, and if not, take everything you can.
If he keeps up with the racetrack the best, he can get his first win here at the California Speedway. Marty.
Well, Dave, it's hot outside, so Jeff Burton and I have found some shade. And Jeff, his teammate, Kevin Harvick's teammate, close to locking in his place in the chase. What kind of finish tonight would make you sleep well this week going into Richmond, Jeff?
I'm Clint Boyer's teammate, too.
Okay, there's Clint Boyer. You're his teammate as well.
We're, you know what, I mean, we'd love to leave here with our, with a guaranteed spot in the chase, but at the end of the day, we're just coming in here to race and do the best we can with the singular Chevrolet, and that's really all we can do is just go pay attention to what we're doing. I think our car's pretty good. We just got to stay, keep up with it. The track's going to change a lot. We got to make sure that we make the right changes and just go out and race and look at the points, and the race is over.
So now we've covered all 3 RCR teammates, I should say: Clint Boyer, Jeff Burton, and Kevin Harvick. Bill.
Thanks, Marty. Wally Dallenbach has enjoyed a very successful racing career. He's a 2-time Trans Am champion and a 4-time winner of the 24 Hours of Daytona. Earlier this summer, he won the prestigious Pikes Peak Hill Climb, beating, among others, his brother Paul. But this week in Wally's World, driven by State Farm, he tackled one of the biggest assignments of his driving career. First, he had to wax the Madden Cruiser. Then he had to drive the bus.
To welcome everybody aboard my State Farm car here in Fontana. My special guest, and I am honored, Jerome Bettis, NBC Football Night in America analyst, Steelers running back, and Super Bowl champ. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You know, when it comes to race cars, you really want to have a lot of left weight in a race car. You know when it's good to have a lot of right side weight? Never. Never good to have right side weight.
Never.
Now, you had your rookie season here in California. A little bit special to be back, right?
It is special to be back.
But it's special to be back, of course, because you're getting a ride in Wally's World.
You know, I've been looking forward to Wally's World, and it is truly your world.
Woo! We officially broke the Wally's World record for the biggest guy in my car.
All right.
The man is in.
No question. Moving now.
We're moving.
Oh, we're moving.
I'm really good on the straightaways, but I'm not really good when I get to the corners. Woo! A lot of right side weight. I feel the left side tires are actually coming off the ground right now.
Can you feel it a little bit?
Yeah, I can feel it.
I hope this right side not holding you down. Oh, this feels good, baby.
You know, you've got a talented cast. You've got Collinsworth, Costas, and Sharp. But like me, you have to carry the crew, don't you?
Hey, you know what? As a champion, I'm the guy that got to hold it all together, so I'm the glue.
And this is a little bit better ride than the bus, isn't it?
Oh, no question about it. This is a ride.
It
Because you made some controversial comments about former coach Bill Cowher, you know, losing friends quickly, but don't worry about that because I don't have any left either. Friends are very overrated.
Very.
I know you're in my world now. How would you like to take me out of the field and return the favor?
You better believe, if I can get you, you're going down. Oh, you're going down.
Hey, good luck this Thursday, buddy. We'll be all watching to see how you do.
I appreciate that. I'll be back in Pittsburgh. It's going to be great.
And you know what this is? You know what this
that
is?
Terrible town. Oh.
Give me some room in case I got to run.
We'll get you.
And the bus returns to Pittsburgh for NFL kickoff weekend. That begins with a Thursday kickoff special as the Pittsburgh Steelers host the Miami Dolphins. And as you might have heard earlier, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger underwent an emergency appendectomy earlier today. So the Steelers starter will not be in action Thursday night. Charlie Batch will make the calls for Pittsburgh against Dante Culpepper and the Dolphins Thursday night on NBC. Sterling Marlin makes his 700th career start today. He qualified 27th. Ryan Newman has 12 career wins. He drives car number 12, and he qualified 12th. The countdown continues from California on NBC. The Bank of America Countdown to Green continues from California. The countdown to the chase is 2. Today, Matt Kenseth chases his 3rd straight Nextel Cup win. He has made the chase for the 3rd straight year. He's chasing his 2nd series championship. The temperature this weekend in Fontana has been over 100 degrees, but 34-year-old Matt Kenseth has been even hotter than that.
Now, this week's Bank of America Higher Standards moment.
Already has one Nextel Cup championship, trying to get another. Matt Kenseth wins at Michigan. Working the last lap at Bristol. Matt Kenseth wins the Sharpie 500.
The last 2 weeks has been unbelievable. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. We're doing well.
It was the Los Angeles Lakers and their coach at the time, Pat Riley, around whom the term three-peat became famous. Matt Kenseth goes for the three-peat tonight. How much does your success in these previous couple of races affect how you play tonight?
We're just going to take it, you know, one race at a time as we have been. It's the same car we ran at Michigan. You know, it's tough here. It's been so hot, and I think the track's going to be a lot different tonight, you know, halfway through the race than what it's been, you know, so far practicing. So I'm not really sure what we got, but, you know, Robbie and everybody in this whole DeWalt team's been doing such a super job. It's been a lot of fun to be part of it.
He'll see if he can make it 3 in a row. Tonight he starts 11th, Bill.
Thanks, Alan. Jimmy Johnson is another driver in the chase for the 3rd straight season. 2 years ago, he finished 2nd in the chase, just 8 points out of 1st. Johnson knows better than anyone that every point you carry into the chase could be the difference between a championship season and a long, cold off season. This week, Johnson spent some time fishing in Alaska, hoping this year he can reel in the Nextel Cup.
Being able to get away, kind of let go of any stress or pressure, whatever it is, and just get your battery charged up for the final 10 is really what I was after. On top of that, some good friends and a good boys trip, you know, never hurts. In case nobody noticed, it's cold. We're in Alaska.
That was a bite right there, though.
Got bit. Fished, did some kayaking, and then did some freshwater salmon fishing after that one there in the stream. Went deep sea halibut fishing. Saw a lot of different things, from killer whales, a big pod of killer whales traveling along, a good sized pod of humpback whales, just a little bit of everything that Alaska had to offer. Bunch of them. That is so cool. That wasn't only getting away from racing, that was getting away from civilization. I love traveling, 1, and then 2, it's good just to get away and hang out and think and do your thing and do something fun and experience it like that. So I enjoy fishing, I enjoy seeing new places, so it kind of all rolled into one and worked out. It'll be an amazing trip, something I'll always remember.
A nice little tension breaker for Jimmy Johnson and friends. Now, Jimmy's already locked into the chase, so is tonight a good opportunity to gauge yourself against the 17 because they've had so much momentum lately?
I think it's really a good chance for us to look at the 17, the 20. I think the RCR cars have been strong. It's going to be a great track for Casey Kane tonight. I think it really is, a warm-up for the chase for us. I know there's some guys that still fighting hard for points, find out where they're going to be in the steel, but the 48 team, we're looking at this as a big race for us. Hopefully we run real strong, can learn some stuff from here and keep on this points lead.
Billy, he does have a victory here in California back in 2002.
Thank you, Matt. Elliott Sadler is a former winner at California. He won from row 9. Today he starts 18th in row number 9. Jamie McMurray finished 6th here in February. He has 4 straight top 10s at this track. He starts 31st. The countdown continues from pit road.
Bank of America Countdown to Green. Brought to you by Bank of America. Experience higher standards in checking only from Bank of America. By Little Debbie. Go to LittleDebbie500.com for your opportunity to win great racing prizes. Little Debbie, unwrap a smile today. And by Sharpie. Write out loud.
The last of the bubble drivers, Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get this team one last shot into the chase.
Jeff Gordon in the chase before the race started, finds himself out of it now.
Dale Jr. has made a lot of comments over the last 45 minutes. Feels like it's about ready to blow up because I want it to blow up in a big way. The 8 is smoking, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Cinderella Man season, and his chances at the chase right here, going up in smoke.
Oh yeah, James has been over for at least 80 laps, man. Our car was horrible. Glad it's over with.
Here comes the rally. Jeff Gordon worked after this car all night. Remember, they went as far back as 30th at one point.
It might be too late for the 24 now.
Everywhere we go, we stink or we're good. Yeah, I have no idea.
But Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in much better shape where the championship is concerned entering tonight's race than he was 12 months ago. Junior, what's been the biggest improvement in your team over these 12 months?
Man, I don't know. We've just had some great race cars. I think it has a lot to do with the kind of cars that DEI is building right now. They just handle really good, and we've made a lot of improvements in the motor department. So we're really excited about all that stuff. Every time we unload the car, we've got a great feeling in our gut that it's going to drive good and do well for us. So it has up to this point.
Junior starts 6th tonight, trying to lock in a place in the chase. Marty?
Alan, Jeff Gordon is a 3-time California winner. Considering Richmond is probably not your best racetrack, how important does that make tonight, Jeff?
Well, it is important. We've run well at Michigan and other tracks like this, so we feel like we've really hit on some things, and we got to capitalize on that with the DuPont Chevrolet. And I don't want to have to count on Richmond, but at the same time, I feel like our program, our whole team, our cars, everything has improved so much that even if we have to go into Richmond, I feel pretty good about things. Things have been going well for us, and sure, it'd be nice to have a little bit of a cushion, but you can't count on that. It's so tight.
Over the next 2 weeks, is it as simple as just racing the 9 car?
No, it really isn't. I mean, I think we still have to just focus on getting the most out of our own equipment and our own program and calling the best race that we can and driving the best race that I can. And, the results are going to end up where they will. And, we can't focus too much on the competition. I think, at Richmond, if it comes down to the final, laps, then we'll focus on it then. And up until then, we're just going to get the best fish we can.
Hendrick Motorsports has more wins at California than anyone with 5. Dave?
Kurt Busch has the prestigious pole at California for the 2nd time this season. Kurt, after getting knocked out of the chase last week, is this any consolation? You guys going to have a good day?
I hope so. We're just ready to just let it rip. We tried some things in practice, and we don't know really what we have right now because we've wanted to try these things. And so I think it's going to be a great night for the Miller Lite Dodge. Starting from the pole, we've got the best track position we need, and now we just need to see what this new setup brings us, whether we can run the high side or low side. We don't know. We're just going to go let it rip tonight and see if we can get a win.
And you tried to keep your team motivated this week after last week's disappointment?
We're not disappointed we missed the chase. It really lends into getting developed for next year and what we can do right now, which is see what we can try, because we never really wanted to step out of the box recently. We wanted to do the things we knew. Now we're going out of the box. We'll see what we can get. So it's a blessing in disguise.
That's the word from Kurt Busch. The countdown is at 0. The pre-race ceremonies are next.
This has been the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Let's go racing.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR. Today, it's the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series from the California Speedway in Fontana, California. And welcome to sunny California. Sunny, hot, and windy California. Temperature about 102 degrees. The sun expected to set a little after 7 o'clock local time. 10 former winners in today's race. They're all lined up along pit road. Let's go trackside now and join the pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Fort Irwin National Training Center Support Brigade presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Jeff Hamilton from Motor Racing Outreach delivers today's invocation.
Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, we celebrate the life you've given us by being here today to enjoy one of the many pleasures you've given us. May we live our lives in a way that pleases you. We ask that you protect the drivers and teams honoring their efforts, and thank you for everyone who's worked so hard to make this such a successful event. Now let your grace cover our lives and your blessing be on our country. Amen.
Race fans, now to perform today's national anthem, please welcome R&B superstar Maya.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked the land, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Whoa, say, does that star-spangled
Let's hear it, race fans.
Two races remain for 13 drivers trying to make the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship. Today, it's 500 miles on this 2-mile track at California. When we come back to Fontana, we'll have the command. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. NBC Sports live at the California Speedway in Fontana, the 25th race of the 2006 NASCAR Nextel Cup season, just moments away. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dahlbeck. Thanks for having us in for the race. Our partner, Benny Parsons, continuing his treatments for lung cancer. Benny had a very good week, and he expects to be with us next week when we race in Richmond, Virginia. Benny, you'll enjoy watching this one. It's a fun track for the drivers. It's smooth, it's fast, it's flat, but the engine builders, as we talked about earlier, they have their fingers crossed, basically.
Yeah, this is a nightmare for them, really, because it's a hard on engines because you're on the gas all the time. You don't really give the RPMs a break. This is a very fast racetrack. A lot of guys had problems here in the past. I mean, Biffle dominated this race in the spring and blew an engine, and that's what these guys, the drivers, are worried about. It's an easy track to drive. Here you see Tony Stewart, same problem. It's not, for the drivers, it's a fun racetrack to drive. It's an easy place to drive, but the engine builders are sweating.
It's been a fun weekend to be in the garage talking to these drivers because you can feel the pressure, and it's not just the drivers, it's the crew chiefs and the entire team surrounding them.
Yeah, and it's not fun for the drivers, especially the guys that are trying to get in the chase. You can see the looks on their faces. I mean, they're almost like zombies. They're under so much pressure and so much stress to get in this thing. They know that this race in Richmond's very, very important, and they're just tore up inside. This is an important deal. Casey Kane, he's just got to go out and win this race, and because he can't control what some of the other guys do that are in the chase, he's just got to go out and get really good finishes.
Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards are in the same situation, long shots, but they have to race hard, finish up front. But for some of the guys that might be able to settle for a fifth-place finish to protect their position, that could open the door for some of these younger guys looking for their first win, like a Brian Vickers or maybe Clint Boyer.
Yeah, I think so. I think it opens it up. I think all these guys are going in at the start of the race thinking they're going to try to win the race. But as it gets further into the race, if their car's not handling too well, they're going to start pylon racing. They're going to start looking at the pylon. They're going to start seeing where their competition is, where they need to run to help get their shot in the chase. But like you say, Vickers, some of these guys, they like it because they're going out. They got nothing to lose. They're going out to win this race. That's all they have to worry about.
Surrounded by a bunch of support. Should be a fun evening of racing here at the California Speedway. Glad you're along for the ride. Right now, let's take you trackside and get the command for tonight's race.
Race fans, it's time now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome our Grand Marshal, Sony recording artist, Kelly Clarkson.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
A warm California welcome for the stars of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Now they face 500 miles at the California Speedway. When we come back, we'll take you through the starting grid and throw the green flag in Fontana. Sony, the official high-definition television of NASCAR on NBC, takes your NASCAR experience to another level with Sony Full HD 1080, the world's most powerful HD experience. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. Budweiser congratulates Kurt Busch, his 5th pole of the season. We will see him in the Budweiser Shootout when we get to Daytona in February. Here's the starting grid for tonight's race at the California Speedway. Kurt's on the pole, next to a guy looking for his first win, Brian Vickers.
A couple other guys looking for the first win here. Row 2, Clint Boyer on the inside. On the outside, good run for Scott Riggs.
Martin Truex Jr. is in row 3, next to his buddy, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
In row 4, this guy's been knocking on the door this year. Jeff Burton, Denny Hamlin on the outside of row 4.
The guy 11th in the championship standings, Casey Kane trying to get into the top 10, Kyle Busch trying to lock up a spot in the chase for the Nextel Cup.
Row 6, one of the hottest guys of late, Matt Kenseth on the inside. On the outside, Ryan Newman.
Joe Nemechek starts lucky 13th tonight next to Jeff Gordon. We heard from him in the pre-race, wants to get it done here at California.
Row 8, Kevin Harvick for Children's Racing on the inside, and our points later, Jimmy Johnson.
Scott Wimmer is in 17th, and Elliott Sadler, a former winner here.
Row 10, J.J. Yaley's on the inside. On the outside, in the 38 car, David Gilliland.
A couple of guys that had a rough run here in February share row 11. Greg Biffle in the 16 car, and Tony Stewart starts 22nd.
In row 12 on the inside is Bill Elliott, having the 00. On the outside, Carl Edwards.
Robbie Gordon's back in row 13, and two-time series champion Terry Labonte making a start this week in the 44 car.
Row 14, Sterling Marlin. It's his 700th start today.
Yep.
Pretty impressive. Bobby Labonte's on the outside.
Ken Schrader's going to have to drop to the back for an engine change. He's in the 21 car, and Jeff Green will start in the 30th spot.
Row 16 on the inside, Jamie McMurray. On the outside, David Stremme.
And as we take a look at the rest of the starting grid for tonight's race here in California, let's have Wally jump on the radio. Who's waiting for you out there?
I think Jeff Burton's going to talk to us. We'll see if we can reach him. Hey, Jeff Burton, this is Wally in the booth. Can you hear me?
Hold on 1 minute, please.
He is checking his pit road speed.
That's right, because the lights are on the pace car, and that's when they look at their tack and lock that in so they don't get us.
Right there, I'm showing 4.5. I'm showing 4.5. Copy that, bud. 4.5.
How about it, Jeff? This is Wally in the booth.
You 10-4. You got 45 right there behind the pace car. Copy that. 4. I'm going to go to 4.6.
Still working out.
And you've got to get it right.
10-4.
These guys do not want to get hung up on, for pit speed violation. I think Jeff Burton did.
Yeah, that's right, and he said we had to be more conservative in future races to make sure we don't get hit with that pit road speeding penalty.
Getting the wheels. Hey, Jeff, this is Wally one more time. Can you hear me up here in the booth?
Yeah, 10-4, I got you.
Yeah, you want to get that pit road speed really, really get down, don't you?
Yeah, it's really important. It's, if you don't get down there fast enough, they all leave you. If you get down there too fast, you get penalized. So you got to make sure you get it right.
How about your car tonight? I know, the best time to be in the car is now. I mean, you think about the chase all week long when you're out of the car, but when you start the engines, you're ready to go. You got a good race car tonight?
This singular Chevrolet is pretty good. Yeah, this is the best time of the week. I've not felt very good this week. And every time I roll over in my car, I feel good. So I'm glad to be in here.
How's that sun looking down into turn 3? I see you got some dark tear-offs on your helmet.
10-4, it's here in a little bit. That sun's going to start setting right off turn 3, and it's going to be really hard to see. So I've actually got a couple of series of shields I can pull off. As it gets darker, I can keep pulling one off till it gets eventually where I don't have any on. But it should be good.
Well, you guys are due. You've been knocking on the door. Good luck tonight.
Buddy, I appreciate it.
Jeff Burton, field still under the control of the pace car. Final stories from pit road. That'll be a busy place tonight. Let's start with Marty Snyder.
And Bill, at the back of the pit road is where Mark Martin will pit tonight. He starts 38, and he hopes to be going somewhere tonight, especially to the front of the field. Mark says the car is very good. Many teams said in the garage area this morning he was one of the cars to beat. The key, getting through that traffic cleanly. The thing they would love to get rid of is their consistent inconsistency of late. Since middle of July, they finished top 5 every other week. On schedule, this should be a top 5 finish this weekend. They're hoping they can continue that momentum into Richmond next week. Dave?
Marty, the 17 team has been consistently on a roll. Winners of the last 2 races and looking good here at California once again. Remember, last year they were the winners at this race. They're peaking at the right time for the championship and for this racetrack. And if they win again, it'll be a rendezvous with Victory Lane once again. Matt?
Dave, for the 3 guys sitting in the bottom of the top 10, they're hoping for a BP, huge bonus point kind of night. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s never won here, but he's hoping to capitalize on that strong qualifying effort. He wants to stay below the radar. Don't make any mental mistakes on the racetrack or his team. No mistakes here on pit road, but he doesn't want to leave this place here in Fontana saying to himself, man, oh man, what did we leave in California? Instead, he wants to walk into Richmond, the final race before the chase, and say he's got a 100-point cushion. Davey.
There have been 2 races on this speedway already this weekend, both won by the car wearing number 9. Casey Kane, wearing number 9, hopes to continue that streak tonight. Casey says he's going to do all he can to bring his car home in one piece, hopefully with a top 5 finish and a point gain on those he's trying to displace in the chase. And if someone's going to roll the dice and gamble on a fuel mileage win tonight, 9 might not be a bad bet to make. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. You guys have a great night down there. Enjoy the race. To see the entire pit road map, go to NASCAR.com and click on Pit Map. And that's something you'll want to have tonight. A lot of room down there on pit road, but a lot of guys stay on the lead lap here, and it could get tight when they all come in together. Lights are out on the pace car. A flat fast, smooth 2-mile track, 500 miles here in California. Start in the sun and end up under the bright lights of Hollywood. The green flag's in the air. NASCAR's racing on NBC. Strong start by Kurt Busch.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously you want to, if you're in that position to lead, go ahead and do it. I mean, you know, because it's real important to have clean air on your car. This is one of those racetracks where you'll see a lot of drafting on the straightaways, but you'll see these cars spread out in the corners because you don't want to get that into that aero situation in the corner. So you see guys just, they get to the corners and just they all fan out. They're all looking for that air, for that downforce. Push those Goodyear tires down to the racetrack and get some grip.
Scott Riggs is stuck in that high groove, getting passed on the inside. That's Truex Jr. going by him. You see the colors on the ticker. Green indicates guys that are in the chase. The yellow, the guys on the bubble, like Casey Kane in 11th. The red, drivers eliminated, but are still racing for the win here in California tonight. Earnhardt Jr. up to 4th. Pit road report on Jeff Burton from Allen Bestwood.
Bill, Jeff Burton, very loose, very relaxed when I talked with him earlier this afternoon. He's had some troubles finishing races the last couple weeks, not falling out of them, but running up front, leading laps. Wow, that was close. And not being able to get the win. It's been a long dry spell. Burton says they think they understand what their issue's been in the final laps of races. They hope to come away with the big trophy tonight.
Scott Riggs has his hands full.
Well, he did after Burton took the air off the spoiler. And like I said, it's one of those places where everything is very aero dependent. You can get underneath a guy. We saw a lot of loose race cars last night. This track right now is slippery, and I mean, you'll see a lot of guys being loose right now. Look at how bad the sun is going into 3. That's what these guys are fighting. It's out of Jeff Burton's car, and what you do is you have a clear visor on your helmet, and then you put these dark tear-offs on. So it's like having a smoked visor, but when it gets dark and you get those visors off, you'll have a clear visor.
There's Riggs in the 10, Casey Kane right behind him, Matt Kenseth in the 17 on the inside.
And you're drafting here. I mean, straightaways are long, it's fast. If you've got 3 or 4 cars that are lined up on the outside and you're the only guy on the inside, you're not going to pass them. You're going to get passed.
You talked about the engine builders on the countdown to green. The wind here blowing down the front stretch from turn 4 to turn 1. That's where you turn the most RPM. They're really going to be hustling down the front stretch, going into the wind down the back stretch.
Yeah, you look at the RPMs, a lot of RPMs. They don't really drop in the corners. So you're, like I said, you're getting out of the throttle, but you're carrying so much speed here. You're always up there in the RPMs. You got something on 24, Matt?
Well, you see him running in line there, Wally. Now, he, like a lot of other drivers, he's got those dark tear-offs on his windshield. You see him dive to the bottom. Now, the big thing about tonight, Steve Letarte told me, they just need to keep their car in contention until the sun goes down. Then they feel like it's game on from that point on. And keep in mind, Gordon has 3 wins in the Coca-Cola 600, a similar type race where we start out in the daylight and then we go into the darkness. He seems to excel at a place where you've got to stay ahead of the racetrack.
All the practice here for the Nextel Cup Series was done much earlier in the day as opposed to the start time for this race.
I'm just pointing out, look at the hood of the 17 car, right where the W is. It's like it's sucked down around the air cleaner. I don't really see that on a lot of the other cars, but you could really notice it when it's down on when it's coming down the straightaway. See if we can get a better shot when it comes down the straightaway. So you'll see it'll be sucked down right on the W. See how it's sucked down on the air cleaner?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of strange.
That gives him more front down force.
Hey, running pretty good. 10th spot right now.
More on Kenseth from Dave Burns.
And interestingly, Wally, when they were going through tech today, they were banging on the front end of that with the hammer. Apparently NASCAR didn't like something they saw with the valence there. A lot of guys tried to go through there with a little extra kick out on the front end, but they did have to modify it just a little bit before they were allowed to compete today.
Yeah, it looks like the hood's just really thin. You can see it popping up and down. Running pretty good, like I said. There's Jeff Gordon took that spot away from Kenseth.
They did all their practicing at a time much different than the hours the race was going to be held at. A lot of guys in the garage were very upset about the practice schedule here as opposed to the race. These guys really don't know what they've got because they haven't been on this track under these conditions.
Yeah, I don't even know why they have a practice session in the middle afternoon, and there's a lot of guys did not run that practice session because the track temperatures were going to be 25, 30 degrees hotter than what they were going to be racing. Hey, let me tell you something. That completely changes the handle of your car, Alan.
And Bill, that's exactly the message that Kenny Francis, the team director for Casey Kane, told me today when I talked to him about if he was able to anticipate changes he would be able to make to his car as the sun set. He said, we literally have no idea what to expect tonight. We're just hoping we make the right adjustments. He feels like with his car's handling, as the sun goes down, it's going to lose rear grip. And that's what they're going to be planning for, but he said, really, we don't know.
One driver said it was like looking at a golf course in the middle of the night, then having to tee off the next morning when the sun was out, not knowing what you were going to get. Robbie Gordon has spun.
Hey, right there where you're at. In front of a lot of cars.
Sure did.
Looks like he's got a left rear flat, but we can't tell if that happened during the spin or before the spin. Doesn't look like he hit anything, though.
Says he has a left rear flat, so he heads down pit road for his caution of the race. Fuel mileage is always a huge factor here at California. Only 9 laps complete. And we'll see how the guys up front are going to play it. They're more than likely to stay out, but the guys at the back will come for fuel.
You can see that there was the center section of the tire ripped off, like Yaley's tire last time, the Busch car. He may have made contact with somebody that ripped that tire. A lot of guys do a good job missing that. But a lot of times if you rub up against a guy, it'll slice the side of that tire, and then the center section will just come right off. It'll rip right off the tire.
So Robbie on and off of pit road. Kurt Busch is the race leader, Earnhardt Jr. second, Brian Vickers, Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer the top 5. They work down the long backstretch here under caution. Been a frustrating year for Kurt Busch. I was surprised to hear him say that they weren't disappointed they didn't make the chase, and a lot of that's been going on in the garage this week, and the drivers are telling you one thing, but it's really what they're not saying and what they're feeling that you have to read into their comments and their quotes.
Trust me, they're disappointed, but what he's trying to do is say, okay, hey, listen, we didn't make the chase, so we're going to make the best of it. We're going to try some things between now and the end of the year and come out, you know, Daytona swinging.
So they'll experiment during this race, so when they run here in California early next year, hopefully they'll have a strong run and put themselves in a good position early in the season. Pit road is open and everybody coming. Marty.
Bill Ryan Newman started 12th. He's made his way up to the 9th position. The car's a little bit tight when he gets back to the gas. Now these guys, like an NFL team, have named their pit stops. The play called now is called Cage Fighter. 4 tires, no changes to the chassis though for the 12 car. Dave?
2 tires on the right side for Matt Kenseth. They're going to try that early, see if it works. He also wants a track bar adjustment. His car is loose. Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the A car started 6th, currently in the 2nd position. No changes for Jr. Says the car is neutral and likes it. AB.
Kurt Busch's team has already made an adjustment to the crossweight on their car, feeling like they might give up a little track position with teams taking 2 tires. Looks like they might have had a little trouble on that stop. Cost them a couple of spots.
A lot of traffic down there on pit road. Let's take a look at the Nextel race off of pit road. Casey Kane picking up 5 positions. Various strategies going on here early at California. Under caution in the Sony HD 500 live on NBC. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from California Speedway is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. This is Budweiser. This is beer. By Team Chevy and the 2006 Monte Carlo SS. Now with the legendary small block V8 and American Revolution. By Nextel, only from Sprint. Get closer to the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series with Nextel. And by Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR. Casey Kane is the race leader after taking just 2 right side tires. Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler the top 5. Elliott Sadler also a 2 tire stop. And you will see pit strategy throughout the day. We saw it in this race a year ago. We saw it in the spring. How you manage your tires and how you control your fuel mileage. Big factors here at California. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking under Elliott Sadler.
If he can see. The sun is really bad in that situation right now. It's probably the worst it's going to be. And you actually can lose sight of the guy that you're passing when you go underneath down there in that corner, because it just blinds you for a couple seconds.
Trying to keep track of some of these guys. Mark Martin started deep in the field, 38th. Restarted 24th after the pit stops. Jeff Burton.
Trying to get 7th away from Sadler. Looks like he's going to do it. Sadler slides up the racetrack a little bit.
4 tires instead of 2.
Yeah.
More on Sadler from Marty.
And Bill, that was a 2 tire stop last time for Elliott Sadler, as you reported. And they had some problems yesterday in practice. The car extremely tight. In fact, Elliott would say the car was bouncing around on new tires. So what they did this morning, they put their teammate setup on. Casey Kane trying to make the car a little bit better. I asked Elliott, I said, can you drive the same kind of setup Casey Kane can? He said, I have no idea, but we're all going to find out together.
And that's something these Evernham teams have been working on. Jeremy Mayfield really didn't want to try and drive a Casey Kane setup, and they weren't getting a lot of exchange of information. And Elliott Sadler, when he went over there, said, I'm going to try it, see how it works out.
Whoa, man, Kurt Busch drove in there, got the car sideways underneath the 24. Now both cars have drafting help down the straightaway, so Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch, they went in the corner pretty even. Slides up the racetrack, Hamlin way up there. Jeff Gordon had to back out of the throttle because he had that 11 car up above him and he had to get out of the gas.
More on Hamlin from AB.
Hey, would you guess that Denny Hamlin told his crew before the pit stop his car ran well up high?
I believe you.
Yeah, he did. A little adjustment on the pit stop to try and help handling getting into the corner, but Hamlin running well so far, Dave.
Alan, Matt Kenseth has lost a couple of spots since the restart, but he radioed to Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, right before the restart. He said, yeah, we'll probably lose a couple at the start here for taking those 2 right side tires instead of 4, but we'll be okay. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon's dropped a few spots. He just told his team on the radio the car is good everywhere, but he still needs a little help on exit of the corner. Gordon was tight before that pit stop. He took 2 tires to move him up a few spots.
Gordon behind Kenseth. On board with Gordon. That sun's going to get brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, it's hard to explain, but I mean, you really get down that corner and you can't see for a second. Ooh, 17 is off the pace. I don't know if he just slid up the racetrack and had to jump out of the throttle. That's what it looked like because he's back up to speed now.
Jeff Burton looking under Jeff Gordon.
Man, these guys are really moving around. These cars are really sliding around right now. Look at how bad that sun is. Burton down in a 3. Try to roll underneath Gordon. And this is where you need to kind of be ahead of him and drift up the racetrack. Burton's got a pretty good car right now. Gordon's not able to get on the gas. You heard he was a little bit tight.
Right.
So he's letting that car roll for a long time, and he can't get on the gas as soon as he wants to. That's why he's losing some spots from the middle off.
So teammate Kyle Busch behind him. Kurt Busch trying to recapture the lead. Falls in behind Kane. Denny Hamlin runs third. More on Kasey Kahne from Allen.
Well, Bill, just before the caution flag pit stop, Kasey Kahne told his team they were better than where they were running. Remember, he was back in traffic a little bit, so they went with a 2-tire stop to try and get him some track position, some of that clean air on the nose of his car. He's got the lead right now. Kurt Busch talked about before the pit stop that the front end of his car, the aerodynamic part of that front bumper, was very sensitive, and he needed it to be right down in the racetrack all the way. They said if it was an inch up off the racetrack, it completely changed the handling of the car. So they made an adjustment to try and keep that front end glued to the racetrack and help his car through the corners.
Looks like they accomplished that. Hanging with Kane. Allen was talking about Kurt talking to his crew. Gets a little technical, but we listened in.
When the car has very fresh tires, I can drive off into the corner and I can feel the shock travel, and the car is down. So on lap 4, they got loose, and the whole car just jumps up out of the racetrack, and now we don't have that downforce. So bottom line, I'm just saying the Dodge is very sensitive to being on the ground versus being up an inch or so.
And I think that inch or so he's talking about is when the tires build pressure. You get that, that's where what he's talking about. When these guys first start and they put new tires on the car, the pressures are down a little bit, so your ride heights are down a little bit. The closer to the ground you can run, the more grip you're going to have.
You got more on this, Alan?
Well, Bill, just that it's part of, you heard Kurt talk about the Dodge. It's part of what Kurt and his team have been going through this year. Kurt has been driving Fords the last few years for Roush Racing. So he's not only getting used to a new team and the new chassis setups that have come rolling into the sport this year, but also the sensitivities of a different body style than he's been used to driving. It's all something a driver has to adjust to from the car, and I think it's taken Kurt a little bit longer to get the feel for some of that this year than he was expecting it might.
And Dodge will have a new nose and new hood for 2007. Matt Kenseth is second in the championship standings. Is dropped back all the way to 10th. Dave, what's going on with Kenseth?
Well, Matt came on the radio right after you guys noticed that he had fallen back, and he said, "What was that?" The spotter radioed back, "We'll go have a word." And then Matt said, "Guys, the next time that happens, there's going to be a big wreck." Obviously contact with someone, not sure who, but it set him back.
Well, let's see if we can't find out who he might be talking about. It's a few laps ago. Kenseth in the 17.
Well, he just got a little bit loose up there. I mean, the 31 wasn't really close enough to take the air off. I mean, it didn't help, but it looks like he just got pinned up there and the car got loose. Dave?
And Matt just radioed back to the crew explaining a little bit more. He said, and he was talking about Jeff Gordon. Okay, I know he didn't mean to run me like that, but the car is so incredibly loose right now. I need some room out here.
Yeah, I can see that, you know, where Jeff kind of slid up the racetrack, and maybe Matt had to avoid that a little bit, but had nothing to do really with the 31.
Because it looked like Gordon had a good run coming off the turn, and Matt did not. Kasey Kahne, a winner here last night. Used some great pit strategy. With about 55 laps to go. Got him into victory lane, but don't take anything away. He had a very strong car and a strong run last night for Kahne. Kasey 11th in the championship standings. There you can see how close it is right now. More on Kasey from Allen.
Actually, Bill, it relates to the guy that's racing in for the lead there, the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. I talked with Denny and his team's transporter this morning. He told me about his championship position. He said, really, the only car we're racing out here is the 9. Trying to make sure we stay ahead of him and gain points and lock ourselves into the chase. Funny that now they're racing for the lead here, huh?
Exactly right. Kasey Kahne out front in California with Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch chasing. Just one race before the cutoff after this one. Kasey Kahne from Washington trying to claw his way in. We're under caution. Take a look at our Team Chevy drivers to watch in their best California finish. The caution is for debris in turn 2. The pace car has just picked up the field. Pit road is open and everybody's coming down again. Dave Burns.
And Kevin Harvick will come on to pit road and make the long stroll down pit lane. Bottom of your screen right now in that 29 car. The car was loose earlier. They helped it a little bit with the track bar and air pressure adjustment. Kevin said, I want to do some more of that, but not the track bar this time. Let's just do the air pressure adjustment, see where we end up. It'll be a 4-tire stop for the 29 car. Matt?
Dale Jr. stopping short in his box. He doesn't have an issue with the 25 of Vickers leaving. The concern for Jr. is not the car, it's a radio. He can hardly hear anything. The team says no changes on this stop for Dale Jr. AB.
Going to be a 4-tire change on Casey Kane's car. They are going to pull a spring rubber from the car. Looks like they did that on the left rear. And away he goes, so not bad for having pulled that spring rubber out. They have to hesitate just for a second, that extra move on the stop.
Trying to improve the handling of the car. You see the race off of pit road.
This would be Jeff Carr, Jackman of the #1 Bass Pro Card. This is for you, BP.
Some hard-working guys down there. We had to stop leaving. Check that out.
You guys kind of give us a heads up on stuff like that.
Green flag has just come out here at California. Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch side by side for the lead.
Trying to stick on the low side, but Kurt Busch has got a pretty good run up on the high side. Now we'll see who Burton goes with. He doesn't really commit to anybody. Commits to the 2 car there at the end.
Last night, different parts of the track worked differently through the race.
Yeah, it really did, and I think it'll change again. I mean, the high side lost a lot of grip later on in the race. See Boyer down underneath Burton. That's for 3rd spot.
Teammates right there. Drive for car owner Richard Childress.
Got to be careful of pinching a guy off here in the corner, because if you're Boyer on the low side and you're underneath another car going through the corner and you're too close to that car on the outside, it can turn you around. It takes the air off your spoiler and you can spin around real easy. That's why you can't go into the corner side by side just leaning on each other. Real tricky here. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, that 2 car's been doing that all day. Earnhardt Jr. had some trouble on that restart. He was 5th on the restart, and he's back to 13th right now. I don't know if he missed a shift or what happened, but Matt, what happened on that restart?
Well, he just came on the radio and said, driver error, apologize for that. I just messed up, meaning he missed a shift when he was starting to go through the gears on the restart.
That's what it looked like, and if you do that, and 40 other guys don't miss a shift, you lose a lot of ground.
And we talked about this at Indianapolis, and it's very similar here. The field gets strung out. Restarts here can be a real adventure.
Let's listen. Let's see if we can hear what happens. You know what? He didn't miss it. He just didn't anticipate it. He was way down on the RPMs when they threw the green. Those guys took off, so he didn't miss a shift. He just didn't time it right.
He was laying back, then he closed up, and then he had to get out of the gas, and then they went and left him.
Yeah, and he sounded like he was in too tall of a gear, too. I don't know if that was the case, but regardless, I don't think he'll let that happen again.
Earnhardt back in 13th. Carl Edwards right behind him, then Tony Stewart. That green car is Brian Vickers.
And these 3 guys love each other. Whoa, 17 a little bit loose.
Jeff Burton for 2nd. Boyer his teammate. Kurt Busch back to 4th.
And you can see how they fan out in the corner. They want to get away from each other going through this corner. They need all the racetrack they can get. Track is still very slippery. These guys are hanging on right now. They're looking forward to the track cooling down. Cools down, they'll get a little bit more grip with these cars.
All right, let's take you through the field, starting with Allen.
And starting with the race leader, Denny Hamlin, Bill, who comes into this race tonight, 6th in the overall championship standings and a chance to lock in his place in the chase. Not really many complaints about the handling of his car so far. He thought if he could get out in front, he could make some time, and he's doing just that. Second place runner is Jeff Burton. He's just taken that spot away from Kurt Busch. Jeff Burton loves the pressure of the race to the chase. He says this is what professional sports are all about. I can't wait to take my shot in these 2 races. Matt?
Allen, his teammate in the 07, Clint Boyer, the only thing on his mind, getting this car to victory lane. Had a great career, best at Indy, finished 4th with this race car. On his way to a 3rd until they lost the engine. The car was loose earlier and then a little tight. They made an air pressure adjustment, currently rides 3rd, AB.
The 2-tire stop for Casey Kane earlier got him some track position, moved him up from his 9th starting spot. Now they took 4 tires on this last stop as Casey tries to race his way into the top 10 tonight with a top 5 finish. Kyle Busch, a chance to lock in his position in the championship. He's running 5th in this race. He took the green flag back in 10th position. On the last pit stop, a 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment for Kyle Busch to try and help the grip on his car. Matt?
His teammate Jeff Gordon has his hands full with Kurt Busch in his mirror. His other issue, like everyone else here tonight, is battling the sun early going.
It's a huge problem. You know, I think a lot of drivers were concerned with it last year, and you know, I understand for TV purposes, East Coast, West Coast, you know, you want to have a race start at a certain time, but you know, I think we also need to take into consideration the safety factor of it out there on the racetrack, and I don't think it's fully being taken, you know, into consideration, because honestly, no matter what I do with trying to block the sun and as dark of a shield as I can possibly get, that sun is so bright here and so strong that I pretty much go into turn 3 blind for a good part of the beginning of that race.
Gordon trying to get this car back to victory lane, but he hasn't had a top 10 here in Fontana for 2.5 years, Dave.
And Matt, the 29 car of Kevin Harvick, they're talking about vision as well, but shade overcoming the Speedway. Car owner Richard Childress, along with Kevin Spotter, telling him where people are running and where the shade is going over the racetrack. It can change the way your car handles, Alan.
Well, some tough sledding here for Kurt Busch in the Blue Deuce. He was running 2nd just a little while ago. Now he slipped back to 8th position. Reporting he has no rear-end grip on his car. Doesn't like the last adjustment they made on the pit stop. As crew chief Roy McCauley says, we'll undo it next time, Dave.
Matt Kenseth is running about where he restarted. Remember, he had an incredibly loose race car. Those were his words. They made a chassis and an air pressure adjustment to try to help Matt. Matt?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. you saw trying to bounce back from that early miscue on the restart. Now Junior's other concern, radio issue that takes us the earplug connector that goes into his helmet. But like everything with this driver and this team, they continue to progress with maturity.
There'll always be radio fights. We're pretty much like brothers, and we're always going to have our disagreements, but there's a whole lot more respect back and forth now. We treat each other like grown men, and instead of just little punk cousins. So it's a big difference and a great weight off my shoulders this season, and his too, I'm sure.
Dale Jr. was 10th. Now it looks like he's going to lose another spot to Tony Stewart, who was pinned on the bottom. Stewart said earlier the car was extremely loose, but we are going to be in great shape. I am just cruising, and it shows as he tries to take another spot from the 17 at Kenseth, Marty.
Man, I would describe Jimmy Johnson's progress as plodding forward. He started 16th today, currently up to the 12th position for Johnson. He was very tight, having no front grip up high on the racetrack. Did several things to fix that. One, he moved to the bottom of the racetrack. They also made a wedge adjustment, and he dialed in a little more rear brake to the car as well, Matt.
And Carl Edwards in the 99. Now, you heard him in our pre-race show talk about the fact that he's got such a huge hole to try to dig out of. Now, he just wants to get this car into victory lane and work as Junior bobbles a little bit down on the bottom, just trying to get this team back on track like they were last year, AB.
Well, Greg Biffle with an outstanding record here at California Speedway, trying to get some wins before this season ends. His chances to get into the chase, well, they're pretty slim with just 2 races to go. Biffle says his team just waiting until darkness. They think their car will come alive then, Matt.
Brian Vickers started on the outside of the front row, thought he might have his best shot of scoring that first win, but the car too tight in the center while he's trying to run the bottom. He's tried to move up to the high side to see if that will help fix his bias issue. It hasn't yet. Snyder?
Mark talked to Pat Tryson, the crew chief for Mark Martin this morning, and he told me, you know, I want to make it to lap 50 and try and be in the top 15. Look at this, lap 44, Mark Martin from 38th to 15th. They've made it through the part of the race they were really concerned about. They have made no changes on both of their stops. They, however, have some radio problems, not with Mark's radio. Someone's radio on the team is sticking. They've been having trouble finding it all afternoon long, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Those are the top 15. Vickers, Sorensen, McMurray, Nemechek, and Casey Mears, the top 20. Every car is on the lead lap.
And that's very, very aggravating what Martin's talking about. Having the radio stuck open. Here you see Kansas and Kurt Busch running for position. If you hear that, it's very, very annoying. Because all you're hearing is noise or background noise or whatever, and it's just shut that radio off.
Alan?
Bill, we're going to continue to see Kurt Busch in that 2-car slide back. He said the back end of his car is so loose right now, wiggling around, that he just doesn't want to get too close to anyone for fear he's going to wreck. A little while ago, he called into the team and told them to go get a new right front spring ready for the car, just in case, perhaps some concern that the right front spring on that car may have gone sour.
Well, he stays up high. Kevin Harvick trying to clinch a spot in the chase.
Don't forget, those guys talked about trying some things, right. You know, the 2-car of Kurt Busch, so maybe they went in the wrong direction.
And they'd rather find that out now than when they come back here in the spring. Harvick in 8th, Kenseth in 9th. Right now, Denny Hamlin, the rookie, out front in California. 2 wins this year, both at Pocono, in that exact car. It has been a remarkable season for this rookie. Now, can he race his way into the chase? Denny Hamlin continues to lead here at California. Jeff Gordon has moved into 2nd, and it's Casey Kane, Jeff Burton, and Kyle Busch, our AutoZone in the zone drivers here. While they talked about it on the Bank of America Countdown to Green, Casey Kane, 3 top 10 finishes here in his last 4 races. Jamie McMurray and Carl Edwards have both run well here. Edwards really needs to get himself a win, and hope the other guys have a little bad luck. His chances of making the chase are pretty slim.
Yeah, he needs quite a few guys to have bad luck right now. And there's that sun. It's not getting any better yet.
It's the old story. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Exactly. And it, you know, it gets to a point, you heard Jeff Gordon talking about, I mean, it gets to a point where you go down into turn 3 and you can't see anything for about 2 seconds. Great feeling at 185, 190 miles per hour.
Denny Hamlin, top 12 finishes in 8 of the last 10 races, 6 top 10s in the last 6. Has just been marvelous to watch this year, and surrounded with a really strong team, not only here at the track but back at the shop as well. Hamlin was 12th here in the spring. There's Kurt Busch still struggling with that race car.
And Kurt Busch doesn't want anybody behind him. I mean, and because I'll tell you what, if he's loose by himself, if you get another car behind you, it makes it 10 times worse. So I think Alan, he's just looking for an opportunity to get in the pits and try to help that car.
He's looking for a caution flag and hoping he's not in.
Man, is that thing sideways. Sorry, AB, but man, he looked like he was drifting.
He did. So when you were behind the wheel of these race cars, Wally, is that how you reacted when a car got sideways like that?
A couple different words, I would say.
That's what I thought.
Not old man.
Yeah. I tell you, one of the big goals for this team today, Wally and Bill, they've had good race cars at a couple of recent races and haven't gotten to the finish. Roy McCauley, the crew chief, told me their big goal for today was to finish all the laps, not hit anything, and not get any penalties. Right now, Kurt's just hanging on, trying to reach that goal, huh?
Yeah, because if he keeps going like that, he's going to hit something.
He will be the caution.
On board with Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is down the backstretch.
He's got a tinted visor there, too, and that looks like a tear-off. Matt, is that a tear-off? It's a pretty big tear-off if it is.
Wally, he has a tear-off on his visor, but also just in case he still battles issues with the sun. As a backup, he has a huge piece of duct tape stuck to the roof. We got a battle for the lead of Gordon, who said he just needs help with drive off. Looks like they finally got it for him as he tries to work that 24 car into the front.
Marty Snyder talked to Jeff Gordon.
Gordon's going to take it, and getting back to Matt's point, it doesn't matter what you have. That sun gets to the point where it doesn't matter how dark a visor you have. You cannot see. And there'll be about a 5-lap, 10-lap window there going into 3 where you're blind. Doesn't matter what you have. So if you're going to wreck somebody, that's a good time to do it because you got a good excuse.
You see the different colors on our ticker indicating the drivers in the chase, those on the bubble, and the ones that have been eliminated. Jeff Gordon, the new race leader. Hamlin is second.
Jeff Gordon's clicking off about the last 5 laps, he's clicking off some pretty good laps.
And I thought Marty had a good point with Jeff Gordon on the countdown, is that Gordon has not had a lot of good racing luck at Richmond in recent years, and he would love to put it away today here at California.
Yeah, if you can go into Richmond without having that pressure, it'd be a lot more fun. That's pretty tough.
They got to fight that for a while yet.
See the RPMs on the right, top speed over 197, 200 miles per hour going down into these corners. That is hauling the mail.
Then they have that tailwind down the front stretch. Wind blowing from turns 3 and 4 toward 1 and 2. Then a headwind down the backstretch, looking into the sun. This is for 5th. Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch. Busch trying to make the move on the outside, Alan.
Yeah, Bill, been a little while since we've gone back racing. Kyle Busch's crew chief told me this morning they didn't expect their car to be lightning fast early in a run, but it stayed. It held its lap speeds better than most in the field, at least during practice, as we went later into the run. So we may be seeing some of that starting to kick in now for that 5 car.
Keep an eye on that. Got the position from Stewart. Defending champion of this race. This is back about 10th. Jimmy Johnson has 10th. Carl Edwards is 11th. More on Johnson from Marty.
Bill talked to Chad Canalsi, championship leaders crew chief, this morning, and he said, you know, we really need to try things now for the chase. So the setup under that 48 car is the setup they would love to use at Kansas and Homestead. Chad told me that's the racetrack that really, this racetrack really translates to those 2 racetracks in the chase. So far, so good for Jimmy, hanging in the top 10. Matt?
Looking back at the 99, you can see him dip on the outside. The car was tight earlier, just trying to work on that balance. As you can see him draft the 48 of Johnson down the backstretch. Dave?
Now, Matt Kenseth had some changes done to his car. He just radioed into crew chief Robbie Reiser. Still a little bit loose. It's better on top of the track, but it's really tough to draft. He was up behind Junior for a while there, you saw, but that makes his car even looser. That's pretty tough. And Robbie Reiser reminded him with the sun, now you got to hang in there for about another hour on that deal.
Hey, Dave, you got a second?
Go ahead, Webb.
Can you update us on what we saw on that crew cam with Truex's car?
Yeah, what had happened was they let the jack down, or it dropped accidentally early and came down on the left front tire. They popped the wheel on, but hadn't tightened any of the lugs yet. So it crushed that left front fender. They had to pull that back out, and when he restarted, having run near the top 10, he was 42nd.
And up to 23rd right now.
And that's unusual for those guys. They won that Nextel Crew Challenge.
Yep, that's right.
In Charlotte this year. So there's going to be a change here. I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch is on the run. He's got 4 spots from Jeff Burton right there.
We've seen this here before.
Yes, we have. Boy, off the throttle a long time right now.
Jeff Gordon is the all-time lap leader here at California, but led only 2 races in his last 7 before today. He's out front by a second over Denny Hamlin, Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Burton. Still under green, Jeff Gordon continues to lead in the Sony HD 500, on board with Jeff Burton in the 6th position. Time now for the singular race talk question. Which driver has enjoyed the best summer? To vote, text the word race to 191 on your singular wireless phone, and you'll have a chance to win a first-class trip to Miami. and we'll have the results later in the race.
Depends where they went this summer.
I think we're talking about on the racetrack. There's our race leader, Jeff Gordon. California native. Trying to lock himself into the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship. Missed it last year, and you can really hear the frustration in his voice after this race 1 year ago. This year, things have been a little bit better. Victory in Sonoma. And they have gotten hot down the stretch. That's at Chicagoland. Matt Kenseth out of the way. Four-time series champion. And out front in California. More from Matt.
Bill, we're about 10 laps away from Jeff Gordon's next scheduled pit stop, and he just told Steve Letarte on the radio that the car down in 1 and 2 is so much better than it is down in 3 and 4. He says when he even starts to get in the gas down in turns 3 and 4, the car is just big time loose, allowing Letarte to know exactly how much he needs to adjust his 24 car on their stop.
And they're going to have to be careful about adjusting their cars because the sunset here is a little over an hour away, 7:13 local time. It's about an hour and 6 or 7 minutes from right now, and that's when the track's really going to change.
Yeah, you don't want to, if you have a loose race car right now, you don't want to adjust it too much because the track should tighten up. Should. So you don't want to make a big adjustment. The next round of pit stops are going to be really important. Heard the guys talk about, you really need, the guys that are really good at a race like this are the guys that can anticipate that change, you know, in the racetrack and make those adjustments and not go too far. Kyle Busch up to 3rd spot. He was fun to watch last night. I mean, he drives this racetrack pretty loose.
Yes.
You can watch him come through this corner right here, and normally you see that glove go to the right. So I mean, and that's why I think he's one of the better drivers around this place. He really hangs it out. Hey, B.
Hanging it out. You're talking about Kyle Busch in that 5 car, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what's going on. The back end wants to step out on him. They call it a loose race car, hoping to make a little adjustment on that in the green flag pit stop that's going to come up a little less than 10 laps from right now.
Speeds at the line.
Kyle Busch, fastest that lap.
Saw Kenny Wallace and Bill Elliott fall off the lead lap. Tony Raines has also fallen off the lead lap. But Gordon in the lead by 2.2 seconds over Denny Hamlin. So it's a rookie chasing the veteran, getting close to green flag pit stops. We'll step out and come back to California on NBC. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from California Speedway is brought to you by the Bank of America. Experience higher standards in checking only from Bank of America. By Sony, the official high-definition television of NASCAR. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns, Dodge. And by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. Jeff Gordon still out front here at California, then Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane is 4th, and Tony Stewart is 5th. Busch Series ran here last night. Casey Kane went to victory lane. He's trying for the weekend sweep. Kevin Harvick continues to dominate in the championship standings. Mark Martin had a strong run, but ended up finishing 3rd after some outstanding pit strategy by the Kane bunch. And there you see Kevin Harvick's huge lead over Carl Edwards and company. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 8 car is 6th. Mark Martin in 7th. Martin 9th in the championship standings right now. Earnhardt Jr. 10th. Mark was fun to watch last night because his car was so good.
It really was. His car was just hooked up. He had him, I mean, he had him pretty much covered, but like I say, Casey Kane, that team gambled that there wasn't going to be another yellow after that last pit stop, and it worked out for him.
And they came back in, pitted on lap 94, came back in under the same caution on lap 98 and topped off, and that gave him enough fuel not only to get to the finish, but to celebrate his win and drive the car to victory lane.
Boy, Earnhardt Jr. using all of the racetrack and then some. Up in the dirt and the marbles that time.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. Green flag pit stop. 75 laps are complete. Headed for you, Matt.
Start of the day out 5th in the championship standings. And like a lot of other drivers, knowing just a maximum point kind of day will help solidify your position for the chase of 2006. The 24 guy's up on the wall. Gordon makes his way into his pit box. Easy entry. The car extremely loose. More so down in 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. Steve Letarte calling for a small air pressure adjustment. Like Wally said, you don't want to over-adjust at this point with the sun setting, Alan.
Casey Kane has pitted from 4th position. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. You see that wrench there being twisted to try and help the handling of that car. 4 tire change here on the 9 car, and they'll look to send him back out. Kurt Busch also in, looking for some chassis adjustments on that car. Remember, the back end really wiggling around on that machine. You see that wrench, 1, 2, that 3 turns on that bar in the back of the 2 car, and we expect to see the new leader, Denny Hamlin, on pit road momentarily. Matt?
And Tony Stewart, the defending series champion, making his way down pit road. Now Stewart, his car was loose earlier. Recently, though, he said his car was sliding the nose at both ends of the racetrack. Greg Zepparelli calling for an air pressure adjustment. Don't see a wrench in the back window yet. Looks like nothing there. As far as Dale Earnhardt Jr., his car was loose on entry, tight in the center, and loose on exit. Tony Eury Sr., his cousin and crew chief. Oh, the 01 of Nemechek getting into his box, slid through. He had to back up as Stewart was making his exit. You can see the wrench in the back window. Junior air pressure adjustment for the 18. Marty.
Matt, this radio problem still exists for Mark Martin's race team. It's really bad because he was supposed to pit 2 laps earlier. The team couldn't get to him because he couldn't get on the radio. The car's just a little bit tight. Mark said if we do make an adjustment, make it a small one. Quarter round of wedge in the right rear. Allen.
Denny Hamlin gives up the lead for a pit stop. Going to make an adjustment on the crossweight on the right side of the car to try and help it turn a little better. A good 4-tire stop for this team. Jeff Burton is in just in front of him, Dave.
And the 17 car of Matt Kenseth is off of pit road. He said, what are you going to do to tighten up this race car, crew chief? They made an air pressure and a track bar adjustment. Kevin Harvick also on and off of pit road. His car very loose. They adjusted for that as well. Alan.
And Kyle Busch is coming in after a lengthy discussion on his team radio over his car's handling. Look for crew chief Alan Gustafson to try and make a chassis adjustment to get the back end of that car stuck more, especially on the exit of the corners. That's where Kyle was struggling with it the most. He's been very proud of his team's pit stops, he told me this morning. He said his crew's been performing at a very high level. They just want to get through this race tonight and next week's race in Richmond without making any mistakes on pit road. That looked like a pretty solid stop.
Certainly did.
These guys are so good in the pits anymore. I mean, it used to be they'd get anybody to change tires and jack a car up, but these guys are all athletes now. They all work out. They all work at their pit stops. I mean, it's fun to watch these guys make pit stops. They're really good.
And there's a lot of peer pressure there, too, because you want to not only beat the other guys on pit road, you want to beat the other teams within your own organization.
That's right. That's right, and and there's a lot of pressure on these guys. I mean, you make a mistake anymore during a race. That one mistake, it's hard to overcome in a race. Everybody is so good and so consistent. You make one mistake and it could ruin your day.
Been a good day so far for Jeff Gordon, 4-time series champion, 3-time winner of the Daytona 500, 4-time winner of the Brickyard 400. Would like to get a win here in California and would like to lock himself into the chase for the 2006 Nextel Cup. We're under caution here at the California Speedway for a debris Thursday night, an NFL kickoff special for you. The Miami Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh to meet the Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers. Their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, with an emergency appendectomy earlier today, so he will be out of the lineup. And they'll bring Charlie Batch off the bench to go against Dante Culpepper and the Dolphins. That's Thursday night, and I'm looking forward to Sunday when that what's-his-name that quarterbacks the Colts goes against Eli Manning and the Giants. So that'd be his brother, Peyton Manning, going against. So Peyton Manning and Eli Manning on Sunday night, Colts and Giants.
Well, it's common knowledge that the older brother normally has most of the talent. That's what the
older brother?
Yeah, the older brothers get more of the talent in the gene pool.
I would agree with you on that.
Okay.
I would agree with you on that. That's first time in 5.5 years. But I
we
agree.
finally agree on something.
Now, most of the leaders stayed out under this caution, but some guys deep in the field did come back in, and this happened just a moment ago.
Yeah, 19 gets trying to get to his pit, and Ryan Newman gets into him. That's not normally how you want to get into your box. Luckily, nobody got run over on that deal.
So Elliott Sadler pointing the wrong way on pit road, but they got him turned around, got him back out on the track. Under caution here at the California Speedway, that's Ken Schrader in the 21 car. He's the lucky dog. Ford is looking for the ultimate racing fan to have the ultimate fan experience at Homestead Miami Speedway. Log on to racetothedream.com for your chance to win tickets to all 3 NASCAR Championship races in November, being an honorary starter for the Ford 300 Busch Race, and a pace car ride. Racetothedream.com. And we're still under caution here in California. Jeff Gordon, the race leader, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, the top 5. Marty.
Well, Bill, the radio problem is not going away for Mark Martin. And what happens, white noise comes on the radio as if someone's radio is open for about 30, 45 seconds, and then it goes away for 5 minutes or so. They're trying to track down whose radio this might be on the team. But Mark came on the radio himself a few minutes ago and said, guys, you have please got to help me with that radio. It is awfully distracting.
And when Marty says white noise, that's not a band. It's just, you hear all this static and stuff. And I'm telling you, when you're running these cars at 200 miles per hour, that is very distracting. You know, it takes everything you can to focus on what you're doing, and that'll bother you. And Denny Hamlin is focused right now on the high side for the lead.
Kyle Busch on the low side. They split Jeff Gordon, and he falls back to 4th and may lose that position. Top 17 cars did not pit. Matt.
Nothing on the radio about the restart, Bill. Just during the caution, he said the car still loose. Looking at the track temperature has come down, but the track hasn't tightened up, which is the usual trend here in Fontana.
Boy, he's in the way right now. Busch leads. Kane in the 9, Hamlin 3rd in the 11.
They are stacked up.
Right back in
there.
Yes.
From about, 4th on to 40th. They're scrambling.
Bobby Labonte and Jeff Green are racing for the lucky dog. These guys are racing for the lead. Casey Kane, believe it or not, in the high groove. More on the leaders from Allen.
Well, Bill, you talk about some guys who are very hungry for a win tonight. Casey Kane has 4 wins already this season, but his last win was back in June, and they've been through a very difficult summer, which is what has them on the bubble for making the chase. As for Kyle Busch, he won a race in July in New Hampshire, but it's been his only win of the season so far. He feels like he might have given a couple away during this season. He wants win number 2 here tonight. So far, he's running very well.
Comes in off the win last night in the Busch Series race. See the points as they run now.
Still pretty tight back there. 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Casey's cut that margin in half from 90 down to 43. There's Jeff Gordon. The 24, Earnhardt Jr. trying to get around him. Matt.
Trying to work his way back up to the point, Bill. Fell from 1st down to 6th. All he said on the radio was, the car just picked up a tremendous push when I went down into turns 1 and 2, and he had to weigh down the throttle, thus allowing everyone else to work their way around him.
And he was strong when he was in front, but right now back in traffic, he's got his hands full.
Yeah, they're just stacked up on top of each other right now. And we talked about it earlier. You can want all the air you can on your car, And right now, in this traffic, it's hard to get all that grip in traffic that you had when you're out there out front by yourself.
Jeff Burton, that 31 car, trying to step out of line and make a move, looking back from Gordon. Talk about pressure in the guys in the garage, but you know it'd be a huge relief for Gordon to lock himself in here so he don't have to think about it next week, especially how as frustrating as 2005 was.
Yeah, I mean, you could, like I said, the pressure on this week, but it's even going to be worse at Richmond.
Right. That's why. Yeah.
I mean, so you're right. If they can come out of this race comfortable, anybody for that matter, it's going to be a lot more fun for them next week at Richmond.
Saw Steve Letarte at the hotel earlier this week, and he goes, "Yeah, if we can lock in, I can finally sleep for the first time this summer." Crew chiefs thinking about it all the time. Burton in that 31 car behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. Allen
trying to pick his way back toward the front, Bill. Jeff Burton started in 7th spot. Remember, he moved up in the opening laps of this race, then fell back when the car's handling went away. He said, "We lost our ability to turn in the center of the corner." The crew made some adjustments on the last pit stop, including air pressure out of both left side tires. And Burton seems to like those adjustments. He's moving back forward, Dave.
And Alan, I want to touch on something that Bill mentioned earlier, the fact that these guys practiced in the heat of the day all weekend and just now are getting into a different type of situation with the track temperatures here. Robbie Reiser, the crew chief for Matt Kenseth, told me we just are starting from basically square one at the start of this race. We have a setup that we think will work, but we'll be adjusting on it all night long, and you've heard all the adjustments that we've been talking about down here. It's who can work the best from a clean piece of paper at the start of this race, Bill.
Hey, Dave, you be careful with Robbie Reiser. He's been pretty grumpy this weekend. Have you noticed that?
I haven't spent a lot of time around him, so maybe that's just as well.
Wise move on your part. During practice here on Saturday, Matt told him he needs an attitude adjustment. Robbie just small little grin, then went right back to work trying to keep his team focused now that they've already clinched a spot in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Burton and Earnhardt. Burton is 6th, Earnhardt 7th. On board with Earnhardt, looking at Burton. And you and I were talking about this last week after the race. You look at Bristol and you look at Indianapolis, where Jeff Burton had a car that you really thought was going to win the race, and then, you know, the last quarter or so of the race really wasn't competitive.
Yeah, it seemed like when they came in for their last pit stop to cap it off, to cap the win off, they disappeared.
And Burton told me yesterday, he said in both those races, the car just got so tight and they couldn't get the tightness out of it. And the more they worked on it, the worse it got. Alan, that's similar to what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Bill, I had a similar conversation with Jeff Burton this morning. The one thing he wanted to point out, he said at Indianapolis, our car's handling was tight, no front end grip. He said because we were out front all day, we were able to hide that from everybody. But when we got shuffled back in traffic by some 2-tire pit stops, it unveiled a flaw in our car. He said at Bristol, we really aren't sure what happened to us there. And he said, I don't want anybody blaming my crew chief that he couldn't make the right adjustment at the end of this race, because we're just not sure what happened in that one. Matt?
Alan, AB, the A team hoping that their problems are gone. First they had issues with their radio. Then Junior said they had a vibration. Hasn't said much about that lately. But the one thing about this team, Junior said he felt like last week at Bristol was their defining moment. They went from 40th and they finished 3rd. Escaping all those minefields. Now he just wants to have one of those nights here in Fontana, score a win, and then go into next week with a little bit of a cushion so as to not have to depend on what could happen on that bull ring that decides his fate. Right now, he is running solid in the 6th position, trying to run down Tony Stewart in 5th.
These two drivers want to cement their spot. And while this goes on for 6th, there's some rather aggressive and intriguing racing going on.
I'm telling you what, this is like 20 or 26, but it's great stuff. These guys are running side by side, 3 abreast. They're all over the racetrack. These guys are running as hard back here as the guys up front are.
And Riggs started it up near the front in the 4th position after finishing 4th last week. He dropped right to the back at the beginning of the race. But there has been some aggressive racing back there, and they're really fanning out when they go through the turns. You've been watching this bunch, Alan?
How'd you like to be a crew chief, who said his goal for the day was for his driver not to hit anything, and see your car back there in the middle of that.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's the story for Kurt Busch and Roy McCauley. Made some adjustments on the last pit stop. Kurt said it's a little bit better, Dave.
And Scott Riggs thought he had a much better race car than it showed. He was stayed up in the top 10. Bill, as you mentioned, he started well up in this race, but then fell back with a very loose race car after the second pit stop. They've been working their way back on that. He's only made his way up to 17th.
Casey Mears is back there. I really thought he'd have a strong run here tonight. Mears is back there. Reed Sorensen in the 41.
Well, this racetrack, I mean, don't count them out yet. I mean, this racetrack may come to some of these guys. If they're really, really loose right now, yep, they're holding on. As long as you're in the lead lap here in Fontana and you can stay there, this racetrack is going to change a lot. And you're going to see guys in the front all of a sudden disappear, and then we're going to see guys in this pack somewhere that are going to be up front before this race is over.
30 cars on the lead lap, and there's 151 laps to go. So you got time to work on it. Marty,
yeah.
What are you watching?
Well, Bill, I was wondering if Wally read the playbook for the 42 team. That's exactly what they're talking about. You know, they've been loose this entire time, fighting no rear grip, but they think the racetrack will come to them later. This racetrack is going to A, get tighter, and B, the racetrack is going to cool down. That should add more grip to the racetrack, and that's what Casey loves, a little more grip in the racetrack.
Thanks, Marty.
There's Mark Martin right now. Yep. He's sliding back. He went across the stripe there in 17th spot.
You have to believe he's really hoping when the sun set.
Well, Marty, did they make the wrong move, or is that radio just bugging him?
No, he made some contact with someone, Wally, and damaged the right front fender a little bit. They had a little bit of a fender rub. Mark said also the car is extremely loose right now. Quite a handful.
And right now, Mark Martin, 10th in the championship standings, only 26 points ahead of Casey Kane. Earnhardt for 5th around Tony Stewart. So Earnhardt Jr. trying to march to the front. More on the 8 from Matt.
Bill, similar issues for the 8 of Dale Jr. and the 20 of Tony Stewart. Jr. says his car just sliding the nose terribly from the center off. That's exactly what Stewart was saying about the 20 machine as well. Just no grip in the front.
Casey Kane drives car 9. Started 9th. Last time he started 9th was at Charlotte in a race that began during the day and ended under the lights. That night, Casey Kane went to victory lane. Early evening here in Fontana, California, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series with a 500-mile race in the Sony HD 500, where Casey Kane is the race leader on board with Jeff Burton, trying to crack the chase for the Nextel Cup. Which driver had the best summer? Here's how you voted. Matt Kenseth.
I have to agree with that.
I would too, especially after the last couple of weeks. Our singular race talk poll.
Gordon just takes third away from Hamlin.
So after falling back, his car has at least recaptured some of the magic it had a few laps ago.
Yeah, I think once things settle down and spread out and he got out of that aero situation with all that traffic, back to run some pretty good lap times. In fact, that last lap, he was the quickest car.
Been some good racing going on all around the track. Time now to take you through the field, starting with the race leader, Casey Kane, and here's Alan.
And Bill just talked with some of the crew about this 9 car. Things are going well now. Check this out. Points now as they run in the race. Casey Kane in the 10th spot. But of course, so many laps to go on this night tonight. As far as this team is concerned, they're wondering the same thing everybody else is wondering. What's going to happen when the sun goes down? Kyle Busch was running right with these cars when the green flag waved for this restart. Obviously, he's dropped back just a little bit. You see nearly 2 seconds off the leader and a nice wiggle there up in the corner. Kyle initially being told by his crew not to worry about it, that they were better over the long run, but Jeff Gordon has just gotten him for 2nd place, Matt.
And Jeff Gordon a half second faster than leader Casey Kane. Gordon said on the radio about 10 laps to go. He goes, you have no idea. I've got about an inch or less of tape left before the sun will be absolutely miserable heading down into turn 3, Alan.
Denny Hamlin has fallen from 2nd back to 4th place now and hasn't said a word on his team's radio since that restart. No complaints about the car's handling, no observations, just logging laps it appears at this point, Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. running in the 5th position. Jr. says the car too tight, hoping for the next pit stop to try to free it up. It seems like whichever driver it is, whatever condition you're experiencing, it's magnified at this juncture of the race.
Matt Kenseth runs next. Matt started out in the 9th position on this last restart. Has picked up a couple of spots, and with himself locked into the chase, we asked him what matters about the next couple of weeks.
I think it's important. I think it goes back to, like we were talking about, momentum. I think it's important to keep that, and I think it's important to keep, you know, myself, all the team members, over the wall guys, everybody, you know, performing at a championship level, and you know, working as hard as we can every week. So, you know, really this business is about trying to win races and collect trophies and do all that stuff. And every race is a big race. You know, even though you're in the chase, you still want to get as many points as you can. We'd love to go in and be the point leader. That's how you have the most points starting. So we're just going to do the best we can every week and see how it turns out.
And there's caution on the racetrack now as Brian Vickers has a problem, Bill.
He's had contact, heavy contact.
I think the left front tire looks like it blew on that car.
Yep, sure did.
Because that's what took the fender off. I don't know if he made contact with somebody before that. You see he made contact with somebody in the right rear.
So the caution is out. Jeff Green will be the lucky dog. That's on the back stretch. And when that tire goes,
yeah, it just rips everything apart.
And this really falls into the hands of some of the guys that didn't pit under the last caution. There you see the tire go. It's gone there, actually. Bits and pieces all over the place. This is on board with Dale Jarrett. And all we're going to see is the sun.
I actually saw some smoke there. I thought I saw some smoke. No, I did see some smoke when he went down in the corner. And he felt it. It was like he felt it going. He got out of the way, but. So I mean, they really got to fix that fender, because you can't run a car like that here. You won't even be able to run minimum speed without a left front fender.
And you have to check the suspension parts as well to make sure everything's going to hold together for him. Too bad. Brian had a good qualifying run. Had high hopes here at California. So the caution is out and the pit road will be open, and these guys are all going to come in. Kane, Gordon, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Then it's Stewart, Kenseth, Biffle, Jeff Burton, and Jimmy Johnson, the top 10. Kane leads them down pit road. And it'll be a busy place. Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Bill, Jimmy Johnson's had about a 10th place car for most of the afternoon. He is tight in the center of the corner, meaning he lacks front grip. They're going to make a wedge adjustment to fix that. Loose off the corner. Back in wants to kick around. A track bar adjustment down on that to fix that problem. Dave?
7th place runner Matt Kenseth comes in, bottom of your screen. 4 tire change for him. Still loose, but I think we should leave it, says Matt. And Robbie Reiser agrees. The track is going to be coming around the next 20 minutes, Matt.
Of your screen, Jeff Gordon, 24 car, no changes. They feel like at this point of the race, the sun is going to play games, so no adjustments. Gordon says the car was good. Davey.
4 tires and a track bar adjustment for Casey Kane. Had to swing wide around Denny Hamlin's car to get off of pit road, and it looks like he's going to hold the lead on this pit stop. Nice job by the Dodge boys.
Well, we'll check it out. We'll check the running order and go back to green flag racing when we come back to Fontana. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Okay, computers are great, but your eyes are better when you're looking at the race off of pit road, right? Bestwick was all over it. Casey Kane won the race off of pit road, then Kyle Busch, then Jeff Gordon in 3rd, then Denny Hamlin, Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart. And I can tell you Harvick, Boyer, and Jeff Burton.
That was a pretty good race.
For 10.
Looked like a Talladega finish there.
Sure did. So that was the race off of pit road. I think we can probably get an update on the 6th car of Mark Martin from Snyder.
Yeah, Bill, they came in to fix the right front fender twice. Mark said he made contact with someone on the racetrack, and Mark said, you know, listen, guys, we need to fix this correctly. As you see, currently he is out of the chase for the championship, 11th in the point standings. But remember this, they drove from 38th to the front in less time than they need right now to get back to the front. They will restart, I believe, in the 28th position. They said that right front fender is as good as new.
He is in 28th, still working caution and cleanup here at the California Speedway in Fontana. They work on Ryan Newman's car, and everybody's looking at Casey Kane's car because it's in the lead. The sun getting close to setting. The pace car to pit road. Casey Kane, the race leader, brings the field to the green flag for the restart. 135 to go. Cars on the lead lap. They all pitted under that caution. See the colors on the ticker at the top of the screen indicating the guys in the chase, the guys on the bubble, and the guys that have been locked out. And right now it's every man for himself. Yeah. Into a blinding sun.
Kyle Busch right underneath the 9 car of Casey Kane, looking for an opportunity.
More on Kyle from Allen.
Yeah, Bill, just talked to his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, during this caution after the pit stop. He said the first 20 laps of a run, they're pretty good. The last 20 runs or so, the first 15 laps or so of a run, they're pretty good. The last 15, they're pretty good. It's that middle 20 or 25 or so that they have to get better to run with the 9, Casey Kane, and the 24 of Jeff Gordon. That's what they're working on with this 5 car.
Bobby Labonte in that 43 is the first car 1 lap down. He's right behind Jeff Gordon. Wants to hold that position so we can get the lucky dog if the caution comes out. Get back on the lead lap. Now we can watch these guys, but we saw Vickers with the tire go and all the damage on his car. And Dave Burns was snooping around down there on pit road. And Dave, you got an update on Mark as we watch the battle for the lead here, the 6 and the 25?
Yeah, Bill, just what happened there. We just happened to be down in the neck of the woods of the 25 car, and the team reported to us that it had been the 6 car that got into them. That's what caused their tire to go down and brought out the caution.
Matt, what are you working on?
Well, the 25, Bill, still sitting on pit road. They're trying to piece together that left front. Not a lot of conversation at this point on the team radio. Really disappointed over having such a great qualifying effort and seeing it end like this.
This is for the lead, Kyle Busch. 3rd time he has led tonight.
Just didn't have enough to drift up that racetrack to clear the 9 car.
Falls in to get the draft down the backstretch. And they fan out in the corners here at Michigan. So Vickers did have contact on the racetrack, and that's what led to the tire problem.
I figured something had to happen like that for the left rear to, or left front to go on that car. Something must have cut it. Normally contact will do that.
Allen.
Well, you think that a guy racing to get into the championship with only 2 races to go, a guy that's tied for the most races won this season but still struggling to make that cut, would feel a lot of pressure coming into this race. But when I spoke to Casey Kane on Friday, he told me he really didn't feel the pressure yet. He said, I think it's because I spent a fun week. He went up to Washington and had a fundraising sprint car race at a track he used to race at. He held a charity event over here in Irwindale, California with some drift cars. He said, I think because I've been doing all these fun things this week, I haven't thought about the championship. I haven't let the pressure get to me.
And I think another thing is, go ahead.
Going back to what you said. It's what they say
and what they
really say. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing that these guys aren't thinking about the championship. I think they get to go do these cool things, and it takes their mind off it for a little bit. But he was thinking about it last night in that motorhome or that motel room, trust me.
And when they all woke up this morning, that's the first thing that was on their minds.
Exactly.
Today can be the day I can get it all behind us and lock in. On board with Gordon. Another thing about Kane is, I mean, they know they've got good equipment, a solid driver. They won 4 of the first 15 races. They're just trying to recapture some of that. They've had some terrible luck. Watkins Glen, Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think they're almost in a better situation as far as frame of mind goes, knowing that, you know what, we just got to go out here and win races, or we just got to do what we do best.
What we were doing.
Yeah, right, exactly. And if we get some luck, we'll be in. And you know, it's a lot easier, I think, doing it that way than being in a situation with Mark Martin or Jeff Burton where you're looking over your shoulder every lap, you know, worrying about what's going to happen next and where Casey Kane's running.
That sun's more of an annoyance now than just glaring right into your eyes.
Yeah, it's going to be out of these guys. There won't be a problem here in another 5 or 10 minutes. And these guys will be happy when it's gone.
Race car drivers happy?
Well, happier.
Okay. Kane gets the position, goes back to the lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch is just fun to watch around this racetrack. He's got that thing hanging out all the time.
Jeff Gordon's got a good look at it. Kyle coming back for the lead. Kyle Busch in the 5, Kasey Kahne in the 9, two of the bright young stars of NASCAR. Kyle Busch is only 21. Kasey Kahne's only 26. And that guy behind him, man, he's an old veteran.
Jeff's got a good run right now in the 5 car. I don't know if he's going to pull out and try to make the pass here.
Teammates right there in the 24 and the 5.
He's going to get the 5 loose. It's not going to be tough.
Oh!
See, I was going to say, it's not going to be tough to get the 5 loose. He's been watching this, and he sees the 5's loose already. So he figures, I'm just going to go down in the corner, and I'm going to stay right on this bumper and get him real loose. That's what he did.
And they are teammates, right?
Does not matter.
It doesn't? You do that to me?
We're booth partners. I'd do it to you in a minute.
Matt.
Bill, there's a lot on the line for this 24 team, obviously trying to lock themselves in. And this is the stretch of the race where it's more of an experimental period because the sun is setting. Not exactly sure how drastic this racetrack will change from sunset to when it gets to complete darkness. Right now, though, the best his car has been is at this point right now. He runs second, trying to chase down the 9, Alan.
Kyle Busch back to third. Nothing on his radio about getting loosened up by Jeff Gordon or sliding back. But one of the things that Kyle has talked about in the last couple of weeks is the biggest lesson he's learned in the last 12 months since picking up that first win. Being patient, not putting his car in positions during a race where it might be compromised and he might crash and lose points. Last year they had 12 finishes in the 30s or 40s, including crashes and mechanical problems. This year only 4. It was something they really wanted to reduce going into the year to have a shot at the title.
Kyle won here last September, was 10th here in February. He's got another young star right on his bumper. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, 2-time winner this year. Up front, Kasey Kahne, but Jeff Gordon has got him right in his sights. The sun is setting, the excitement is rising at Fontana on NBC. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from California Speedway is brought to you by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse, by Ford, Bold Moves, by KFC's Build Your Own Variety Bucket. Choose any 3 of 6 KFC favorites. Give the people what they want at KFC. And by DLP Technology from Texas Instruments. HD TV doesn't get any more real than this. The fans at Fontana having a fantastic time tonight. There's Kasey Kahne. He is the race leader, but that 24 car has been all over him for a few laps. 129 laps are complete. Let's take you through the field, starting with Allen.
And the leader, Kasey Kahne, standing in their pit right now. His team manager, team director, Kenny Francis. Crew chief's role called by a lot of other organizations, but the Evernham organization set up a little differently. They call it team director. Kenny says no message to his team this week about the pressure or about their point situation. They figure they do what they do. See how it turns out, Matt.
The 4-time champion Jeff Gordon runs in second. They brought one of their best cars in the stable. They won Chicago and then finished second at Michigan. Gordon now back down on the bottom, hunkered down, just riding, waiting until the sun completely goes down, and they expect the handling to really improve on this good race car, Alan.
Only radio traffic on Kyle Busch's channel since he wiggled and went up the racetrack and lost second spot was his crew chief Alan Gustafson telling Kyle, it's okay, we're going to run our race. Let's try to take care of the car right now. Denny Hamlin pressuring Kyle Busch for that 3rd spot, maybe going to take it away right here. Hamlin's crew saying that their car is fast, but still just a little bit lacking front-end grip in the center of the corners, but they're afraid to take a big swing at it right now because it's still fast, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of those drivers who started the night between 5th and 11th in the championship standings, knowing, as you can see as of now, currently 7th. They have to have a good night here, and especially at Richmond, because those drivers have all either finished 2nd or better at Richmond. Can't afford any mistakes. Jr. says the car a little tight on exit.
It's been hot all weekend here, Matt, and the Kenseth team knew that. In fact, Matt asked for some extra air hoses around him. Tire specialist Todd Millard, who works on the interior as well, gave him some extra ventilation to help him before the sun goes down. We're getting close to that point now.
Stewart had a disastrous race here in the spring, finishing dead last due to engine failure. Back on lap 111, it took a huge swing at the handling of this car. Remember, we told you the car was just way too tight, went up significantly on the track bar and reversed some changes they made earlier to try to free up the car.
Spent some time talking with Kevin Harvick's crew chief Todd Berrier earlier today. Asked him if they had a good race car. Todd said, "We'll know when the sun goes down." We're almost to that point. Marty?
Dave, Jimmy Johnson says things are different this year for the 48 team. He said we're smarter, more mature, and more educated about what we need to do to approach the chase correctly. And part of that key is keeping momentum for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think we've been able to do it so far, so our strategy hasn't changed. The last 3 or 4 years, we lost a little steam through here, and this year we've been really strong and putting up good performances week after week. So, you know, if we can go into the chase with the points lead, it's going to be great. But if we don't, I still know that we're a better team right now than we've ever been. We're stronger, and we're going to be more of a threat this year for the championship than we've ever been.
So what have they learned today that will help them in the chase? Well, they've learned this setup they would love to use at Kansas and Homestead. So far, mixed reviews. Not that great, not so bad. Jimmy's been about a 10th place car all afternoon. Alan?
Jeff Burton, one of the championship would-be chasers, running in the 11th place in this race. Last traffic on his radio, his car way too slow in the center of the turns. One dynamic that's going on in this race right now is that the 11th place driver in points is leading and gaining ground on all these guys like Burton that are running behind him. Matt?
In the countdown to green, you heard Carl Edwards talk about the huge hole that he finds himself in looking outside of the championship chase. Knew he has to just go out, run his own race, and try to rack up some W's. The car was tight early, but now, Alan, it is just way too loose, especially on exit.
And checking on the progress of Greg Biffle's race, who started in 21st position. He's managed to move his way up to 15th. Biffle been so strong at this racetrack, they thought they had a good shot at a top finish here. Still got some work to do on this car to get it up with the leaders. Marty?
Well, Alan, the good news is that they fixed the right front fender on Mark Martin's race car. He restarted 28th. Currently, he's up to 21st. The bad news is he has a long way to go to get to the front, and the car does not seem to be as good as it was early in the race. You saw that little wiggle coming off turn 2, a little sideways as well. Mark said the car, as you can see, extremely hard to handle. No rear grip.
Thanks, Marty. Right now, in the championship standings, Casey Kane and Mark Martin are in a deadlock with 3,149 points. So they both get into the chase under the, if there was a tie, you're in. But right now, Kane and Martin tied for the 10th spot with the exact amount of points. But 115 laps to go. We'll see what happens.
Earnhardt Jr. takes over the 3rd spot from Denny Hamlin. He is working the high line. I don't think there's too many guys that have been running higher than Junior has been. So he's found a little bit of grip up there. It's working for him.
And more grip as we go along tonight, right? See what happens. Casey Kane, a big win here last night. A win tonight would be much bigger and could rocket him into the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship. Casey Kane continues to lead as we stay under green at California by 2.3 seconds over Jeff Gordon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. runs 3rd, 5 seconds behind the race leader, but there could be a development on this 9-car, Alan.
Well, Bill, we were just noticing that white piece on the middle of the grill on this Casey Kane car. And on these cars, when you block off that small opening, sometimes it causes heating problems. I just spoke with team director Kenny Francis just a second ago. He said the debris has been there for a while. The temperature on the car is fine.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get behind that car and try to draft off and get the air coming off that 25 car. Would have cleaned that grill. See, there's more stuff flying up there now. So our Home Depot virtual garage, and I'll kind of show you what's going on here, what happens. Got the opening in the front of the car. That's obviously how it cools the car down. The air is coming through. What happens is when they start picking up, when you got tape on there, and when you're taped up like this, you're getting downforce on the front. But when garbage covers up the little opening that you have to cool the car, it overheats. And that's the problem that Casey Kane may have if that doesn't fly up. Now, last night in the Busch race, you see how much trash he had on the grill, and they got it off during a pit stop, but the water was up to 250 degrees. You can't run these cars 250 degrees very long before the engine will blow out or start spitting water out. So I don't know what his temperature is. That's not a lot of trash.
But you don't want any more.
You don't want any more. And you can get that off. If you get behind a guy and you go back and forth, if you get on this bumper and you turn left and right, the air off that car sometimes will clean that paper off. It'll blow that paper off. So I don't even know if he knows it's there or not. If they're watching TV, they'll tell him and he'll get it off.
Still running well. 2.2 seconds in front of Gordon. Update on Jeff from Matt.
Bill, the difference between first and second, like you mentioned, is leveled off to be about a 2-second difference. Gordon was battling the sun in his eyes earlier. Now he's battling an ever-changing racetrack.
It isn't tight. I don't know what it is. Just all over the place. I'm trying to cool it down and see what happens. Something about this place, when it starts to cool down, boy, it changes in a big way. 3 and 4 is not the same turn as it was.
And the latest thing that Gordon told his team, besides being tight in the center, now the car is extremely loose on exit, but he is running lap times about 1/10 of a second faster than leader Casey Kane.
And this is what the guys in the garage were talking about. They were craving some kind of an evening practice session here, so you'd at least have some idea what your car was going to do.
Well, they know now.
Yeah.
They're getting a feel of it anyway.
Casey Kane out front. From Enumclaw, Washington. 4 wins this season, chasing number 5. You're watching NASCAR live on NBC. The sun setting in the mountains of California. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing under the lights at the California Speedway. 148 laps are complete. Casey Kane leads Jeff Gordon by 2.3 seconds. We're about 15 laps or so away from pit stops. This battle is for second. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. as we approach the 100 to go mark.
Takes the spot. That's second place.
Just want to remind everybody, our buddy Benny Parsons not with us this week, hopes to be with us next week when we race in Richmond, Virginia. And if he is, he would utter those famous words, truck, cue the duck, please. Time for our Aflac trivia question. Who were the only rookie contenders to win a California Nextel Cup race? Come on, Wally.
Rookie contenders to win a California Nextel Cup race ever. Kyle Busch.
Right.
And Jimmy Johnson. I don't know.
Very good.
I didn't even have the answer for that.
How about that?
Like I normally have at a time.
Very good. You didn't get the email, huh?
Not that one.
Our Aflac trivia question. And BP, we look forward to seeing you next week up there in Richmond. And you can cue the duck for us. Casey Kane just sailing along, 100 laps to go. Still has that debris on his grill. Doesn't seem to be an issue yet.
Lost grip somewhere.
Sounded like Gordon talking about grip. And Matt's got an update on Earnhardt.
Bill, while the 2014 battles grip, the 8-team on their way to the front. Junior has only one top 5 finish here. Not one of his better racetracks, but he said moments ago on the radio, let him know that I'm coming. Somehow, some way, I will be up there because I found my line, and we are now really good.
Yeah, he's found the line that we talked about earlier. He's on the high line. I haven't seen anybody run as high as he has. He's almost running out of racetrack. He keeps moving that line a little bit every lap, about an inch or two. He's about running out. Matty?
Right there on exit, Wally. Now, he said earlier when the sun was still out that he had to wait until the sun went down because he couldn't see quite as well exactly on his exit of where he would like to be. He didn't want to tag the wall and cause himself some major issues, but now that the sun is setting, vision is excellent, and he is motoring toward the front.
It's always better to be able to see when you drive a race car. It helps a lot.
Whoa, look at that.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. got the win at Richmond. Used the fresher tires to get there and beat Kevin Harvick, getting back to victory lane. Certainly had the disappointing season a year ago, capped by losing an engine here. How's he look?
Good.
Okay.
It's going the right direction. Fastest car on the track right now, too. He's 0.2 of a second faster than Casey Kane the last couple laps. They should be getting pretty close to hitting pit road.
What do you think? About 10 laps or so. At the most. Mark Martin, he's 18th now. Got an update, Marty?
Well, speaking of finally going the right direction, this is the time of the day Mark Martin has been waiting for. They've been battling a race car that has no rear grip, extremely loose. Now the racetrack itself finally getting some grip in it, coming to Mark Martin. In the last few laps, they've gone from 21st to 18th, but they still have their hands full. And look at that, in the top 10 of the championship standings as well.
Yeah, that's going to move a lot in the last 97 laps here. And the story from pit road is we can expect our leader Casey Kane on lap 158, and we're working 154, but that's all out the window. Debris for caution on the racetrack. And this will put just about everybody in a window where if it did stay green, they'd only have to pit one more time after this set of stops. So we'll see how that works out. So if you're going to get your car right, you need to get it right on this round of pit stops. Casey Kane came in here 11th in the championship standings, 90 points out of the final playoff spot. Right now, he is back at 11th, 6 points. Jeff Green is the lucky dog under this caution. He will come around to be the 26th car on the lead lap. So it's Kane, Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. Matt Kenseth the 6th, then Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Carl Edwards. This is when the driver really has to make sure he communicates with the crew chief and knows exactly what he wants for that race car.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and you can't second guess yourself here, you know, and that's where these crew chiefs really are. That's where they do their magic, because they know what this track is doing. They know where the car has been. They know the adjustments they've made. And like you said, Bill, this is going to be a very important, you know, we talked earlier about there's going to be some guys in the front that go to the back and vice versa when the cool track's down. And we've already started seeing that. So, yeah, this is a real important pit stop. Don't over adjust. That's the biggest thing you don't want to do, is make too big of an adjustment here.
Pit road will be open this time. You've had enough time to at least get the feel for what the track's going to do.
Right, and you know that it's gonna cool down a little bit more, but nothing like it has in the last half hour. It's really, you know, the track has really cooled down in the last half hour, 45 minutes.
There you see Kane, the race leader. He'll bring the field to pit road. Guys will have to do their best stops right now. Spot in the championship chase could be on the line. The field dashes onto pit road. We go to Marty.
Bill, for championship leader Jimmy Johnson, exactly what you guys talked about. They wanted to make a big adjustment. They decided, let's not make it over just a car. He wants more of what they've done before, but not double of what they've done before. Tight on the throttle, up half around on the track bar. Dave?
17 bunch walking, the tightrope of adjustments. Car is loose, want it to be a little bit looser because they think the track will tighten. Air pressure, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car has come to life. No changes on the previous pit stop. You see him in the center of your screen. No change this time, just a little tight on exit, AB.
And paper fell off the grill as Casey Kane came to a stop in his pit. Going to be a 4-tire change, a track bar adjustment. Wanted him to make sure he stopped back in his box so that he could swing around the 11. There's a race off pit road.
That's going to be one the camera's going to have to tell us. See Jeff Burton shooting out of his pit stall.
I want to give that one a 24.
And you would be correct. So Jeff Gordon picks up the lead on pit road. The pit guy is getting it done at California. Still working caution here at the California Speedway. Casey Kane has come back onto pit road. They're going to top off his tank, but he came back in because he's going to have to restart at the tail end of the longest line for a too fast entering pit road. Now Kane came in as the race leader. We'll follow him all the way down to his stall. Comes across the commitment line. Earnhardt Jr. right behind him. It was too fast entering on the 9. Speed is clocked electronically by NASCAR.
Okay, well, unless he sped after the 9 pulled or the 8 pulled in, I don't understand why the 8 didn't get called either, because they were glued to each other going all the way down the pit. So AB, I don't understand that one.
As you might guess, neither does the driver behind the wheel. He talked about the fact that he set his pit road speed at 4,700 RPM before the race following the pace car, and he kept it right on that number all the way down pit road. He commented on the fact that Dale Jr. was right behind him for most of the way. His team director, Kenny Francis, came back and said NASCAR said it was a section in the middle of pit road where it got you. They chose to come in, top off the fuel. They added tape to the front of the grille to try and give them some extra downforce because they're going to be back in traffic now instead of out on that clean air. But to say Casey Kane was disbelieving at that penalty would be a little bit of an understatement.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
Jeff Gordon is the race leader. The 2-car Kurt Busch is on the tail end of the lead lap. And we'll let the scoring cycle through. And you have to go back to the 24th position to find Casey Kane. Kurt Busch had just pitted under the green before the caution came out. That's why he's at the tail end of the lead lap. Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. That's a mess back there. Sterling Marlin's there. Dave Blaney.
Tony Stewart's in the middle of that.
"90 laps to go here. I just want to show you how that penalty affects the 9 situation in the championship chase. See Mark Martin in the 10th spot. Casey Kane now 89 points out. Started the night 90 out. This would be for the lead. Boy, the fans on their feet here now.
Going 3 wide, down into 1. Kyle Busch going for the lead as well. And so far, it looks like he's going to come out of turn 2 with it.
Let's see if they all come out of turn 2.
They had a really good draft going down the straightaway, and he pulled out. He had a good run on those guys, and he pulled it off.
And Kenseth working all over the back of the 8. At 43 at Bobby Labonte's, the first car lap down. Looking back from Earnhardt at Matt Kenseth. Matt on Gordon.
Bill not only is a 3-time California winner, chasing the race win, he and his teammates are also trying to lock themselves in for the $6+ million payday at the end of the season. But this was moments ago on the Gordon radio concerning his teammate Kyle Busch in the 5.
Do me a favor, that 5, he looks like he's a little loose on those new tires, so just do your best around him there, bud. Just be smarter than the rest.
Pass the message along that I'm racing him the same way he races everybody else out here, and he better, that was a lesson is what that was. He needs to learn from it.
And Gordon's car was loose right before that last pit stop. Steve Letarte made a small air pressure adjustment to try to help Gordon on exit. He said it was just too free when he tried to get back in the gas.
Well, we saw Gordon get Kyle loose earlier in the race.
Yeah. Now, it's the best time to try to pass somebody who's on a restart, really, because everybody's jammed up and they go flying down there. And I mean, really, that's your best opportunity to try to pass a guy before things get strung out. Kenseth goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Just makes the pass on Earnhardt.
And the upper left, that's Casey Kane in the 9 car. He's already worked his way up to 16th. Allen?
Hey, Bill, remember last night's NASCAR Busch Series race here at California Speedway? Casey Kane had to come back in. He topped off his fuel, went to the back of the pack, wound up winning the thing on fuel mileage. Remember I talked about earlier in the race if someone was going to roll the dice on this thing and try and take it on fuel mileage? That might not have been the case when they were running up front. Well, now it is when they're back in traffic. They came in, topped off the fuel on the 1 to go lap. So we'll see if this 9 car ends up making a fuel economy run out of this thing between now and the checkered flag.
Thanks, Alan. Well, here are these teammates. Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch. And that would be Kyle's brother in that 2 car. So Gordon back to the front. This is good, but you normally don't see this between 2 teammates, especially when they're both trying to make the chase.
You know, it didn't sound like they were real happy. One was real happy with the other one either, so they're racing each other pretty hard right now.
And Kyle Busch will race anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to him, whether it's Jeff Gordon or anybody. He doesn't care. He's out there trying to win the race. I mean, the car is just sliding all over the racetrack. I don't know how he can hang on to it that long.
Gordon got around Kurt Busch. That makes him the first car off the lead lap. Kurt goes high, Kyle goes low. More from Allen.
Yeah, Kyle Busch just on his radio a second ago, Bill, talking about all 4 tires on his car sliding, needing a little more grip and a little more help on that car. You know, it's funny to see these 2 guys racing with such intensity because Kyle has given Jeff Gordon as well as Jimmy Johnson, one of his other teammates, a lot of credit for helping him mature as a Nextel Cup race driver over the course of the last 12 months. I guess that goes to show you just how intense the competition really is.
And speaking of Jimmy Johnson,
these guys they're having a battle.
Johnson in the 48, Kevin Harvick right behind him, Carl Edwards in the 99, and Tony Stewart getting a look at it. Bobby Labonte participating.
I don't know if he really wants to be participating, but
how about Johnson, Marty?
It's fun watching these guys race like this, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah.
And Jimmy knows this is a setup they want to use in the chase, so he is giving extremely detailed information to Chad Canals about everything this race car is doing, and it certainly has come to life since the sun's gone down, Dave.
Harvick running behind him in the 29 car. Crew Chief Todd Berrier showed me his notes here from last year, page after page on his Excel spreadsheet. And the last note was, I quit. They finished 14th, which means they didn't quit, but it was a long process to get this car halfway competitive last year.
No surprise, Dave, that Tony Stewart in the 20 car hugging the bottom, loves to run the bottom while other guys like the middle or top. Stewart diving on the inside of the 29. Now they went back up on the track bar the last stop, pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear, and made some big air pressure adjustments. The car just too tight, especially trying to roll through the center of the corner, knowing they're probably going to have one more shot at it. They took a big swing at it the last time just to see if that would really ignite this race car and find the balance that Stewart's looking for.
And there's Casey Kane in the 9 car. He's worked his way up to 14th. Around Jeff Burton. On board with Burton. Jeff Burton has slipped to 9th in the championship standings. So that's not only a pass on the track, but those are big points for Kane. Jeff Gordon is the race leader by about a second over Kyle Busch. So that's Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Clint Bowyer with 80 to go at the California Speedway in Fontana. Welcome back to California. We're under caution. David Gilliland has just spun. That brought out the caution. Moments before that, Greg Biffle had to make an unscheduled pit stop for a flat tire. That's big because that affects his chances, even as slim as they were, of making the chase. Here's Gilliland going around.
Looks like he was underneath Waltrip, and he was just trying, you know, they were coming off the corner, and he was trying to turn the car down so he wouldn't drift up into Waltrip.
And that brought out the caution. Pit road is closed. Jeff Gordon is the race leader, then Kyle Busch, Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Denny Hamlin. We'll sneak in a break, come back, see who comes to pit road with 77 laps to go at California.
Championship leader Jimmy Johnson hits pit road running 7th. He said the car's not bad, still needs to turn better in the middle of the corner, half round of wedge in the right rear. Dave?
Matt Kenseth gives up 4th place for 4 fresh tires, air out of both left side tires to keep the car turning. Matt?
And at the top of your screen, the 24, Jeff Gordon, says the car cannot carry the speed that he needs to in the center, especially can't get in the gas up off. Steve Letarte shuffling the air pressure in the rear as the 8 of Junior already away.
Kyle Busch in the center of the screen going to get a 4-tire change, but I suspect if you watch that picture on the right, you're going to see some 2-tire stops and some quick pit stops, shuffle the track position a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly right, Alan. Different strategies because we hadn't had that many green flag laps. So this is another situation where some of the guys at the back are going to restart at the front because of pit strategy. That's how Casey Kane won the Busch race last night.
Jeff Carr, Jackman for the #1. Getting it done.
NASCAR Nextel Cup racing from California Speedway, brought to you by Nextel, only from Sprint. Get closer to the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series with Nextel. By Haviland Motor Oil, race-proven protection. By DirecTV, there's good TV, there's better TV, and then there's DirecTV. And by State Farm, great service and great rates. You can get it all from State Farm. Some developments here under caution. Jeff Gordon has been back onto pit road. A second stop. Matt has the story.
Bill, his crew chief Steve Letarte, called him back to pit road, did not have all the lugs installed on the 24. Didn't want to take any kind of chance whatsoever, brought him back down. Still just under 80 laps left to race. A lot of points still at stake. Did not want to take any kind of chance to hurt themselves in the bigger picture. They know they can bounce back from this fairly easily, knowing how well that car was running before the caution.
Came in as the race leader, currently scored 25th.
We've seen this happen a few times this year with these guys where they run good, then they get back in traffic and they can't make it work. Right. So it'll be interesting to see if they do have a car good enough to where it'll be able to get through the traffic. That's what's important right now.
2 tires for Casey Kane. He runs second. 2 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He scored as the race leader. Scott Riggs currently runs 4th, also 2 tires. And there's our Craftsman pit summary. Obviously Kane moving forward. Kyle Busch drops the spot, and Earnhardt Jr. with a 2-tire stop. Still under caution here at the California Speedway. Jeff Gordon at the back of the pack after having a fast car all night. Can he get back to the front? We'll see. Just a nice cool evening here in Fontana, California. It's cooled off to 93 degrees. Track temperature, though, from 128 down to 95.
That's a big jump. That's a lot.
Kurt Busch was the lucky dog. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. 72. Jeff Gordon restarts 25th after loose lug nuts on his pit stop and a second trip down pit road.
Got quite a few guys on that bottom lane that are a lap or more down. See Biffle down on the bottom right there, trying to get on the lead lap.
Biffle, the first car, scored off the lead lap. There are 26 cars on the lead lap. Casey Kane looking at that high groove that Earnhardt's been using. An update on the 9 from Allen.
And looking to get the lead back here, Bill. Remember, Casey Kane shuffled all the way back to 24th place by the too fast entering pit road speeding penalty on the lap for 155 pit stop. I talked to his team director, Kenny Francis, about the right side tire only call on this pit stop. He said, we debated 2 or 4. When we saw the 8 car just get 2, that made our decision for us. They've got their track position back. Now they want the lead.
Both those cars just 2 tires on their pit stop.
Man, he had a run getting off of turn 2, and right now he's got the lead. He's got the 5-car Busch behind him. Casey Kane needs to slide up the racetrack a little bit to hold that spot. You've got it. You're going to lose his 2 spots in that lap.
Kane doing a little drifting up the track there.
Well, there's lots of it.
Kyle Busch looking low. Can't quite get there.
Oh, Casey Kane a little sideways there off of 2. Wasn't it 89 earlier? He went from 89 points out of 10th to 9 points out of 10.
Yeah. Helped by that 2-tire stop, AB.
Bill, it just goes to show you the difficulty in trying to figure out these races. Here were guys on top of the world earlier, down in the dumps in the middle, back on top, and we've still got, what, 70 laps to go? Who knows how this thing's going to turn out in another hour or so.
One guy wondering that same thing drives that 24 car, Alan. And where is he? There he is, behind that mess.
22nd spot, but a lot of traffic in front of him. And he was, you know, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Now he's a second slower than the lap times Casey Kane's run.
This is for the lead. Kyle Busch.
Boy, Biffle is doing everything he can to try to get on that lead lap.
Easy now, bud.
And he is on the lead lap right now.
Had to pit with a tire problem under green. That's how Greg fell off of the lead lap. He's 27th, the first car 1 lap down.
It's on the lead lap now.
Right, when they get back to the scoring loop, he will be back on the lead lap in front of the race leaders. The 5 and the 9 racing for the lead. And you could see this for years to come in Nextel Cup racing. And now Biffle officially is the 27th car on the lead lap. And he's out front.
Yeah.
So he's got clean air and a good car.
And these guys are racing each other.
Right.
So that's going to help him. He's hoping they'll continue to do that. But he's got a long way to come around. I mean, obviously, he's looking for a yellow.
Again, the ticker at the top of the screen. Green cars are in the chase. Yellow are on the bubble. Red are locked out. When the checkered flag falls at Richmond next Saturday night, we'll know the drivers that will be eligible for the 2006 Nextel Cup Championship. Looking for Jeff Gordon. There he is, right next to Mark Martin. Trying to squeeze it down low. Mark drifting up in front of Casey Mears. Matt.
Bill back on lap 178. He restarted in 25th, quickly making his way back to the front. Air pressure adjustment by Letard and company, trying to tighten up the race car on exit. He was close to working by the 6, so Martin just couldn't quite do it. Marty?
Mark Martin and company are a little surprised the racetrack has not gotten tighter for them. They restarted in the 21st position. Currently, they're running 18th. The racetrack still too loose for Mark. They made several changes on the last stop, trying to give him a little more rear grip in that 6 car.
Anyway, I think we saw that last night too. The Busch race, guys were expecting the track to get tighter, and it didn't for a lot of those guys. Their cars started out loose, and they stayed loose.
Boy, all night they were loose.
Yeah.
This is for 4th. Earnhardt Jr. is 4th. Kenseth is 5th. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car. 3rd in line is 6th. And right in front of them, Scott Riggs, who in that 10 car with a 2-tire stop. There's Riggs. 4th last week, Dave, in a pit road gamble that's paying off so far for the 10.
When they raced earlier this season at Michigan, sort of a sister track to this, they were working on an experiment on the body to help the 9 team. It didn't work, so they didn't use it on the 9. And when they came here, they brought a car they really, really liked as far as the shape of the body, what they thought it would do in the clean air. It's run great tonight. And as you mentioned, a 2-tire stop to give him even more track position on the last stop.
Got him out of traffic, was 19th when the caution came out. Now Scott Riggs runs third behind Kyle Busch and Casey Kane. That 9 car has been good all night. Right now it's good after a 2-tire stop. He leads by 1.2 seconds. We'll take you through the field when we come back to California on NBC. The caution has just come out here at California for debris on the racetrack. Casey Kane is the race leader. The fun continues next weekend on TNT. When we go to Richmond, we'll have Bud Pole qualifying on Friday night, followed by the NASCAR Busch Series race. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock Eastern time. And then the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series in the Chevy Rock and Roll 400. Coverage Saturday night begins at 7 o'clock Eastern time with the Bank of America Countdown to Green. The caution out here at California in the Sony HD 500. Debris on the racetrack. Bobby Labonte in the 43 car will be the lucky dog. He will come around to be the 27th car on the lead lap. And let's see, Mark Martin is 17th. Jeff Gordon has worked his way to 19th. Here's another look at the championship standings as they run right now. You can see
Mark's not in by many. He's going to start that pylon racing here pretty soon.
And pylon racing again is?
He's going to be coming down this, because you can see that pylon from off of 4. You can really see it when you're driving. You can come down the straightaway and you can kind of see where you're running, and you can also see where your competition's running. So you're going to start looking and saying, well, okay, where's Casey Kane? Well, he doesn't have to look far, does he?
If you start at the top, you don't. That breaks your heart right there when you see that, unless you're a Kane fan. Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, Scott Riggs, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth. Most of these guys are going to be outside their fuel window.
I think I'd still be coming in.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put tires on, but
this is almost exactly the same situation as last night when Casey Kane came down pit road and then came in and topped off before they went back to green, and that got him to the finish and the checkered flag. He won the race last night. Casey Kane, the race leader now, brings the field down pit road. Marty Snyder.
Doing it from here, though, Bill, would be a little bit more of a gamble than it was last night. A little bit further to go for these guys. Jimmy Johnson described his car as edgier in turn 3. They're going to undo the last adjustment they did and go up one round on the track bar, Dave.
Scott Riggs puts it in the hands of his crew now. 4 tires, this time like everyone else. A little bit tight in the center, slight air pressure adjustment. Matt.
Right before the caution, Tony Stewart took the 7th position away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, the recent changes they made to the 20, not long enough to know if it's really helped. They're going to make a slight track bar adjustment. They still haven't got the tightness out of the center, Alan.
Going to be a 4-tire change for Casey Kane. Dropped his pit road speed reading by 100 RPM on this set to make sure they stayed safe on NASCAR. Going to be some guys get off pit road ahead of him. Looks like we've had some more 2-tire stops, huh?
I would think so. Mark Martin appears to be the first car off of pit road.
It's like a couple of close calls there, too.
Sure were.
That was that Carl Edwards I saw that was leaving? He had to stop. Was that his teammate, probably, I think, that came in. There you go. Is that Elliott?
Yep.
Sadler?
Yes.
19 car?
Yeah. Carl Edwards. There goes Casey and Riggs, Kenseth, and some of their friends. Dale Earnhardt Jr. loses a few spots. The running order when we come back to California. Time for our All-State Good Hands Driver Award. And watch what happened here on pit road. Greg Biffle heading for his stall. Carl Edwards trying to get out of his. Carl hard on the brakes, makes the nice move. Let's Biffle slide in front of him. He gets our Good Hands Award, but you know what he gets for that? He loses a couple of positions coming off of pit road.
A couple of spots to Mark. You see Mark there on the left, gets by. And I think that's Elliott Sadler that gets by. But no damage to the car.
2 tires for the 99, 2 tires for the 19. So it's Mark Martin with a 2-tire stop, the race leader. Then Elliott Sadler, Carl Edwards, Joe Nemechek, and Casey Kane, the top 5. Riggs comes out 6th. Kenseth, Hamlin, Johnson, and Tony Stewart. Our Napa Field summary. All 43 cars are still running. There are 27 cars on the lead lap. Our Napa Field summary here at California. Mark Martin is the race leader. Some guys on the edge of their fuel window. 55 to go and we get the green.
Yeah, definitely some guys are going to try to make it all the way if it stays green.
Casey Mears topped off.
Marcus. Man, Marcus trying to get down on that low side. And man, Newman was down there. I don't know what was going on, but boy, Elliott Sadler took advantage of that.
He's on his way. That might get Mark fired up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark knew the 12 was down there or not, because he was trying to go to the low line, and he was almost leaning his left rear on Newman's right front fender. That could have been big.
Yes. There were a few fast cars coming in a hurry behind him, weren't there? That's Terry Labonte in the 44 car on the inside. He's one lap down. More on Mark Martin from Marty.
Well, let's talk about those 2 tires and why they decided to take them. Remember, they had the problem with the right front fender earlier, Bill. Got mired back in traffic. The car has not been as good as it was early in the race. Pat Tryson said, you know what? Take the 2 tires here, see what happens, see if we can get our track position back. Obviously, the car extremely loose for Mark right now, hard to hang on to. And for Elliott Sadler, they've gotten better all night long. They said 2 tires, why not? We were looking at top 20 at best earlier tonight.
Casey Kane under Mark, and that's 4 tires against 2 right there.
And it's just, you know, what we talked about earlier too, Bill, I mean, we really haven't heard much about Elliott Sadler all night. Now he's clicking off the fastest lap. It's so important to be out front in that clean air. He was fastest that lap by a bunch.
And all those cars that are off the lead lap mix in with the lead lap cars, and that makes it that much tougher to get back to the front. So Mark's 2-tire strategy working for now, at least.
Yeah, it might be pretty good for him. Don't forget, you got Jeff Gordon back there. He's in 17th spot right now in the middle of all that traffic.
Well, earlier this race, Mark was out of the top 10 in the championship standings, was 11th. Right now, he's 5th with 52 to go. Just want to make sure we get it in that Casey Mears did come back in and top off in that 42 car. And we heard from pit road their plan is to go the distance. They're going to need a few caution flag laps to help them, though, I would think. We'll see. There's Jeff Gordon, 17th. Gordon had to make an unscheduled stop under caution for loose lug nuts. Restarted 25th. Still trying to work his way back up front. Gordon had led 42 laps tonight. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that pack of traffic there. 13th, Matt.
Bill, just like the 24, he's mired back in traffic now. Junior, remember on the previous stop, they took 2 tires. The car just did not react well to 2 tires. You see him work the outside of the car. Now on 4 tires, Junior felt like they'd gone 3 or 4 more laps. The car was really starting to come to life. There's a 31 Rockets on the bottom.
But the one thing that Junior's got going for him, Matt, is that he's running higher, or he's got that high line down, and nobody else is really running up there. Where guys like Jeff Gordon are running where there's 30 other guys running.
Right.
So the one thing about Junior, he may be able to pass a lot of cars because he's one of the few guys running that really high line. Right on the bottom right there, but normally when after it gets about 15 laps, 20 laps on these tires, you'll see him up on the top.
Junior right now 10th in the championship standings. 50 to go. Elliott Sadler with a 1.1 second lead over Casey Kane. Snyder?
You guys remember earlier we were talking about how Elliott was going to try Casey Kane's setup and just see what happened. And in the beginning of the race, they didn't look that good, and Elliott was really complaining about the race car. In fact, at one point, Ray Evernham came on the radio and said, listen, let's just get a top 15 out of this thing tonight. But now with the 2-tire change, that's what makes it so great. They had nothing to lose. Take the 2 tires, get out front in that clean air. As you said, Wally, makes all the difference in the world. Alan?
And Casey Kane's team director, Kenny Francis, debating with Casey during the caution laps before the pit stop whether or not to make any changes to this car. Kenny said it was so fast, I'm afraid to touch it. Then just before the car hit pit road, they decided on a small adjustment to try and keep up with track conditions. Casey now running in the second position after getting shuffled back a little bit from the other guys who got 2 tire stops a minute ago.
And he has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, so 5 bonus points for Casey Kane. And you have Evernham cars running 1st, 2nd, and 4th right now. Elliott Sadler, Casey Kane, and Scott Riggs.
Casey Kane's a little bit faster right now than Elliott Sadler. I would pretty much look at him taking the lead here in the next 5 or 6 laps easily.
Yeah, for a sooner. For those 4 tires, he's pulling up on the 19 in a hurry. That'll be for the lead. Evernham cars running 1st and 2nd at California. The NFL on NBC. The NFL kickoff special this Thursday night. Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dante Culpepper coming back from having those 3 torn knee ligaments last October in that game against the Panthers. Leads the Dolphins against the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers quarterback, with that emergency appendectomy earlier today. So Charlie Batch at the controls. Al Michaels and John Madden will have it for you on Thursday. New leader here at California. Teammates with the pass. And it didn't take that 5 or 6 laps.
I was wishful thinking. I was hoping we could get back before it, but here it is anyway. 4 tires, passing 2 tires, just a matter of time. It was pretty easy pass for Casey Kane to make.
So Casey Kane back up front. Elliott Sadler is 2nd.
And Sadler's hanging right there. Yeah. I mean, he's still running good lap times.
This is for 7th. Denny Hamlin in the 11.
Yeah, you got Kenseth right there. Scott Riggs takes 3rd spot from Mark Martin.
More on Riggs from Dave.
Hey guys, what's final practice for?
Make your car better for the race?
Yeah, practice things. And yesterday, Rodney Childers, the team director for the 10 car, told me they did some things they weren't sure would work, and they did not. And Scott said, I'm glad you tried them then, because if that was during the race, I'd have cussed you. That's what you say in North Carolina if you get really mad. But Scott Riggs knows what works on the car. Rodney Childers does. They've made minor adjustments, got that track position with a 2-tire stop, and are racing their way to the front with their teammates.
Dave, I'm just glad he didn't say what happy hour is for.
You'll have to tell everyone.
Well, this car was good in Michigan.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was one of those things where I think this car was better when it got out front or it didn't have to run in traffic. It had a lot of clean air. It was really, really fast. If he got in traffic, it seemed like he struggled. So he's in a good spot right now. He's up front. He's in 3rd. There's not a lot of cars around him, and he's running good lap times.
And a lot of people talking about Scott Riggs this week because of the way he raced Jeff Gordon last week in the closing laps at Bristol. He stayed behind him. He was patient up until the very last second when it was time to get around him. Then Riggs got around him. We saw those guys talking it over on pit road after the race. But a lot of people, you know, really got introduced to Scott Riggs last week, and they liked what they saw.
Yeah, Scott did a great job last week at Bristol. He had a faster car than Jeff Gordon. And I don't know if there's been many veterans that would have waited that long or not put the bumper to Gordon. But you know what? Scott did a good job. Got a great finish. And those guys really have turned that team around. I mean, they obviously had a rough start this year.
Missing the Daytona 500.
Exactly. So, done a good job turning that team around.
On board with Jeff Burton.
Whoa!
What happened there?
Well, that was a saving your life there.
Just in the middle, loose off.
I think so.
And he's out of breath when he said it. So,
Alan?
Yeah, Jeff Burton called in a few laps ago, Bill, and thought he might have had a flat tire. That was at lap number 208, so the crew got up on the wall and got ready. He's hanging on. I guess he's decided he doesn't have a flat, but I think he's also decided he doesn't like this car's handling very much.
and this is just a part of the races these guys have struggled lately. I mean, you know, they've been good to start, the middle, and then they get down to the finish or the last 20, 30 laps of a race, and they just they lose a lot of spots. They lose a lot of ground.
We talked about it at Indianapolis and at Bristol. The car just got tight. They couldn't get it out of it. It cost them a lot of spots. Dale Earnhardt Jr. More from Matt.
And Junior just made his way around the 01 and Nemechek, who had to pick because he had a cut left front tire. Junior says the car has really come alive up top in the Richard Petty lane. Steve Beal, his spotter, cheering him on, trying to work his way back up to the front. He's got the 20 right ahead, trying to reel him in to pick up another spot.
And right behind him is that 24 car. And who was fastest last lap?
Like that 24 car was that last lap, and you know, he's gotten us through the traffic. And like I said, it seemed to have had some issues there earlier in the year with that, but they've got their car working right now, and he did get through traffic. He's in the 11th spot right now.
Matt, you got something on Jeff?
Well, the biggest thing, Bill, they just haven't panicked over the past month and a half when they've had bad runs. They had some great days, sure, but they have had some struggles as well. This team slowly working their way back up the front, currently in the 11th position, trying to bounce back from when they had to hit pit road for missing a couple lugs.
Jeff Gordon missed the chase a year ago, trying to race his way into it tonight. But everybody is chasing Casey Kane. Leads his teammate Elliott Sadler by 1.8. His other teammate Scott Riggs runs third. Evernham 1-2-3 at California. Here's one you don't want to miss. Next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time, Penn State at Notre Dame. Number 19 against number 2. Penn State with a big win yesterday, and Notre Dame with some gutsy play calling by Coach Charlie Weiss and some excellent execution on the field. Got their win on the road, come from behind. Penn State and the Irish next Saturday, NBC. Casey Kane, the race leader. Let's go through the field in the Sony HD 500. Here's Alan Bestwick.
Yeah, if you haven't been with us all night, Bill, let me tell you about Casey Kane's night. He started 9th, he raced his way up to the lead. Then from the lead, he got a pit road speeding penalty that knocked him back to 24th at lap 156. Got from up to 12th on the track under green, up to 2nd on a right side tire only stop, shuffled back to 5th by other guys getting right side tires, raced his way back to the lead. Woo, my notepad's busy, Marty.
Alan, has been much less eventful for his teammate Elliott Sadler. They ran about 20th for most of the night. The car would not handle, extremely loose. The sun went down, the car got better. They took on 2 tires, have made it to the front. They're about 3 laps short on fuel, though. That's the only problem, Dave.
And that's what we're going to be watching with everybody. The 17 restarted 7th all the way up to 3rd now. That car has come alive in the nighttime. They've saved the best for last tonight. As far as the 10 car, he got slowed up by the 44. The lap car of Terry Labonte got very tight behind his race car. By the time Matt Kenseth caught him, that's when they got a wave by, but it was too late. Kenseth went by the 10, Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. just told his crew chief, Tony Eury Jr. says this car is just turning so well in the center of the corner and is great on exit, and it shows on the stopwatch as the car turning great laps, moving his way to the front, currently 5th, AB.
Denny Hamlin looked like he had the car to beat in this race. He led most of the time from lap 30 to lap 78, but the car, since falling back into the traffic, has not been able to get back to the front, though Hamlin's still looking for what would be his 6th straight top 10 finish. Kyle Busch lost some track position on the last set of pit stops. We showed you the Carl Edwards-Greg Biffle tangle on pit road. It left Biffle's car hanging out in the pit space in front of Kyle Busch's. It blocked him in. He lost some spots getting off pit road. He was back to 11th after the stops, Matt.
Fuel's still a question for just about everybody. If you can see the 24, Jeff Gordon, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, rebounding from their miscue on pit road. Probably one of the top 3 cars speed-wise on the racetrack right now, Marty.
Mark Martin started 38th tonight, Matt. He blasted his way up to the top 5. Then they damaged the right front fender, and he spent most of the night running about 20th. 2 tires on the last stop, though, and they're back in the top 10 and back in the chase for the championship, Matt.
2 tires on the last stop for the 99 of Carl Edwards. Got him in track position, but then slowly has begun to fade. Back in the 10th position, about 5 laps short of making it on fuel. Tight in 1 and 2, loose down in 3 and 4. Snyder?
Jimmy Johnson said earlier this week, I want to challenge the 17 team and the RCR teams in these final 2 weeks going into the chase for the championship. We need to build momentum. Currently, Johnson in 11th with a tight race car. Matt.
Tony Stewart's fallen out of the top 10. Currently in the 12th spot. The entry still loose, the exit still loose, but they just cannot get a handle on the center of the corner, slowly beginning to fade.
After having a loose race car all night, Kevin Harvick's car finally went to the tight side. They made an adjustment last time, restarted 12th, but really haven't gained any effective loss to position and should be between 4 and 5 laps short on fuel. Alan?
Tell you about Greg Biffle's night. He bounced off the wall, damaged the body earlier, then cut down a tire at lap 172. He got back on the lead lap. He's picked his way back up to 14th, but he says his car's just kind of sliding around, Dave.
The 41 car, Reed Sorensen, well, he's driven past 8 cars since the restart, and he topped off with fuel. He'll be better than anybody else, Alan.
Well, Jeff Burton, after thinking he had a flat tire back at lap number 204, still riding it out. You see he's back in 16th position. Burton fighting to hang on to a place in the top 10 in the chase for the Nextel Cup.
We're going to see a lot of gas and goes.
Yeah, we saw that in this race 1 year ago, almost the same scenario, and then it ended under green-white checkers. Yep. Casey Kane, the race leader, 25 to go at the California Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Casey Kane continues to lead at the California Speedway. 229 laps are complete. He leads by 6.8 seconds over his teammate Elliott Sadler. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the man on the move, just turned the fastest lap. He's in third. Then it's Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon in fifth. And we just watched Gordon and his old buddy Scott Riggs race around here for a couple of laps.
Yep, they're duking it out. Now Jeff Gordon is up to 5th spot. Earnhardt closing in on Elliott Sadler for 2nd spot. In fact, here it is right here. This will be the pass for 2nd spot.
Yes, it would be.
Running that high groove.
Yeah, got his groove back.
And like I said, that's really good for him that worked that groove, because like I said, nobody else has been running that groove. So if everybody else is running in the middle of the bottom, he's running where everybody isn't.
Greg Biffle on pit road. They had topped off under the last caution, but as Alan had talked about, his car not handling very well. AB?
Yeah, going to take a gamble here. They weren't going anywhere on the track, so they're going to come in, a quick chassis adjustment, and 2 tires for Greg Biffle. See if the fresh tires help them gain some time on the other guys that are going to be out there running on older tires after they are splash and dash for fuel.
Yeah, we're in a situation where most of these guys, basically just about everybody's going to have to do a splash and go. Marty?
Wow, we got tires changing.
Yeah, and what the 16 and 48 teams are trying to do while they're trying to force everybody else's hand by pitting early, taking on 2 tires. Jimmy Johnson's car too tight, pounding the right rear. They're also up on the track bar, and they were 9 laps short, so they had nothing to lose. Short pit here. Now they'll force other cars to pit with them.
19 laps to go. There's your race leader, Casey Kane. Take our final green flag commercial break and come back and take you to the checkers at California. Casey Kane is the race leader here at California. 15 laps to go. He leads by 6 seconds over Dale Earnhardt Jr. Then it's Elliott Sadler, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin.
Now, I would think he'd just come in for a couple of seconds worth of fuel in order to make it to the finish. You don't need much.
Matt Kenseth came, and Robbie Reiser called for 2 right side tires. They had a problem with the right front, took a long time, and that cost Kenseth a lot of position.
And that's something that he can't afford to do right there. You know, Matt can.
Right, because he's already locked into the chase.
Right, but Casey Kane can't, so I'd be real interested to see if these guys take on rights or just fuel. I would think just gas.
Right now, Casey Kane 11th in the championship standings, 39 points out of 10th. The top 10 drivers make the chase. Casey Kane is the race leader. Kane has led 127 of the 236 laps tonight. Won here last night. Matt Kenseth swept Bristol last weekend. Kane trying to sweep California. Kevin Harvick on pit road. Another guy trying to lock up his spot in the chase. He could do it by finishing 3rd or better tonight. Dave, what's his strategy?
loose in the corner, tied off. They're going to put 2 right side tires on. This is considered early enough to take advantage of the new rubber, Wally. I think that's why guys are doing it like the 17 car, because now they're running and trying to run faster laps, and the guys who will start late not take on any rubber and run slower laps.
I see what you're saying, Dave, but I just don't. I mean, you're losing an extra 5 or 6 seconds on the racetrack by putting those tires on. But more importantly, you can make a mistake.
Right, which the 17 bunch appeared to do. Matt Kenseth is scored in 22nd, first car off the lead lap. Right behind him, Jimmy Johnson. Allen, here comes the 9.
Yeah, here's where all the pressure is on the driver now, Bill. Get down to the speed limit before that commitment line there. Don't speed down pit road despite your excitement at trying to win the race. Get smoothly to a stop in your stall. Then the pressure transfers to the crew. They're going to make a right side tire change on this 9 car and put some fuel in it. Then the pressure back to the driver. Get smoothly out of the pit stop. Get up to speed. Don't speed. And get back up onto the track as quickly as you can on those fresh right side tires. So far, so smooth for Casey Kane. He's into his pit stall, right side tires and fuel. They're telling him to go when the jack drops on the tires, not to wait on the fuel. Tire changers around the front of the car, and to Matt.
And it's a fuel-only stop for Jeff Gordon. He only needed about 3.5 to 4 seconds of fuel. No tires for the 24. AB.
Right side tires for Kyle Busch. Down and away. We'll see Denny Hamlin in this lap. Look for him to take fuel only. Matt.
And the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. on his way down to his pit stall. They have tires on the wall. Possibly just fuel only, though, for the 8. The 20 is Stewart. Right side tires only. They are going to go tires on the old Dale Earnhardt Jr. Slid in his pit box. Fortunately, did not slide through it. The car is at an angle. He's finally away, Marty.
Mark Martin has already left pit road. He was struggling with those tires that were on the car, so he wanted 2 fresh right side tires and the fuel to make it all the way to the end. No chassis changes.
7.3 seconds on the stop for Kane, 8.7 on the stop for Earnhardt, 4.9 seconds on the stop for Gordon. Carl Edwards makes his way onto pit road. 11 laps to go. Edwards gives up the lead to come down pit road. Matt.
Bill Carl was one of those drivers that took the 2 right side tires for the gamble on his way down to his pit box. The sign waving up and down. Let's see if he too goes for the tires. They were going back for fuel only for Edwards. Just a quick splash. He's away.
Just before we went back to green under the caution, Clint Boyer, Reed Sorensen, Casey Mears among the drivers that topped off. Hearing that Sorensen plans to stay out. We heard that Mears plans to go to the finish. There's Sorensen. Dave Burns.
They radioed to Reed, buddy, we're staying out. We're going to win this thing.
And he said, no, I need to come in for tires, right?
No, he said that putting on tires would delay his run to victory lane there, Walt.
Okay.
Wow, Reed Sorensen out front with 9 to go.
Nobody around him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just surprised at some of those tire changes there.
I'm with you. Reed Sorensen looking for his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win. Jimmy Ellich, his crew chief. Drives for Chip Ganassi, Felix Sabates. Dave, you down there?
Yep, this is a brand new race car for them this weekend. It's run very strong. He's running the top 15 all night. But this was a gamble that paid off on fuel. And gosh, didn't the Chip Ganassi car maybe in the Busch Series take a fuel gamble earlier this year and win?
Yeah.
It was a 42 of Casey Mears.
Yep, I was at
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicagoland. Thought you were fading out on us there, Dave, but glad you're still there.
Down the hole.
7 laps to go. Reed Sorensen is just 20 years old. From Peachtree City, Georgia. Sorensen leads. An update on Casey Kane in fourth from Allen.
Yeah, Bill, even though he may not get the win tonight, if this fuel mileage gamble pays off for some of these other drivers, Casey Kane and his team wanted to come in here tonight, run all the laps, get a top 5 finish if they could. They got bonus points for leading and leading the most laps tonight, and they're going to finish ahead of all of those guys they are chasing in the race to the chase. So provided things go well for these next 6 laps, exactly what they needed to accomplish tonight for Casey Kane in the 9 car, even if they're disappointed at not winning.
It is a great finish for them, but they're going to lose this race like they won it last night.
Right, but they may not. I think these guys, it's going to be a lot closer for these guys.
You think so?
Yeah, than it was for him last night. Right now it's Sorensen, J.J. Yaley, and Clint Boyer running the top 3. Kane is 4th, 9.8 seconds behind Sorensen.
Yeah, but he's only a second and a half behind second place Yaley.
Right.
So he's, you know, Kane will probably pass Boyer and Yaley, who's second and third spot. And then Reed Sorensen, if he does run out of gas, then Kane's right there. What are they saying, Dave, on the 18?
Dave? We've lost him.
He did fall on that hole. All right, so there we got J.J. Yaley there in the 18 car in second place. Casey Kane now takes over third spot from Clint Boyer.
Sorensen. 4 to go this time.
Now, if they told him, I don't know what they've told him, because if, you know,
Save fuel and go
around.
fast.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's exactly right. Dave, if they told him, okay, you got fuel, go for it, or we're just going for it.
Go for it and pedal easy.
Okay.
Now, we've had a discussion about long gears before. What does pedal easy mean, Wally?
You and your long gear.
Save fuel. Save fuel, Reed. You can make it, but save some. J.J. Yaley on pit road. Sorry about that earlier. They were short, and they just stopped for a second here and threw fuel into the 18 car.
Casey Kane has made his way to second, as Wally said he would.
And he was a second a lap faster than Reed Sorensen. That's not going to be enough,
nope,
but
only 3 to go.
But if this guy bobbles just a little bit, Reed Sorensen, Casey Kane's going to be there to pounce, Alan.
And he just came on his radio, Wally, and asked his team director, Kenny Francis, is the 41 going to make it? And Kenny's answer was, I don't know. I don't know.
I just saw a car down low. I'm not sure who that was, but that could have been somebody running out of fuel.
J.J. Yaley. More on Sorensen, Dave.
Okay, new definition for pedaling. They said, Reed, pedaler good, pedaler big. Here comes the 9 car. I guess pedal it means drive hard.
Well, you may as well, because you're not coming in.
Sadly, still got 6 seconds, 2 more to go.
So obviously they made a decision. They're going to run out or they're going to win this thing trying. So
See if it'll pick up.
Don't worry about that long gear is what I'm saying, Dave.
Reed Sorensen, just 1 top 5, 5 top 10s
he's out of gas.
this year.
He's out of gas.
It's out of gas, Jimmy.
And watch Casey Kane come roaring by in that red car. They gambled and lost. Casey Kane to the lead, and will come to the white flag this time. And there's not even a threat behind him.
And they did what they talked about earlier in the race, or earlier today. Just go out and win the race. Let everybody else do whatever they got to do. This is what these guys need to do to even have a shot at making the chase.
Won 4 of the first 15 races this year, but has struggled since. Tonight, he has led 129 laps of this 250-lap race. This is the final lap. Casey Kane came in here 11th in the championship standings, and as Wally said, he's going to beat everybody and put himself in position to make the chase next week at Richmond. Earnhardt goes to second. Casey Kane comes off of turn 4. He won last night in the Busch race. Casey Kane sweeps at California.
Good run for Earnhardt Jr.
And Clint Boyer.
Yeah, those guys. Earnhardt's going to feel a lot better after tonight with his record here in Fontana going into Richmond next Saturday.
Well, those guys worked hard.
See, Dale Jarrett wound up with a top 10 spot.
He was another car that topped off. Unofficially, Kane 11th in the championship standings right now. 27 points out of 10th. No driver clinched tonight. But Matt Kenseth has assumed the championship lead by 16 points over Jimmy Johnson. To pit road, and here is Matt Yoakum.
Every win is special, but every win is important. As they put Kenny Francis and Big Tank Probus. Kenny, can you describe how important this win is for this team tonight?
That's the biggest win of the year so far. You know, we got to race our way into this thing, and tell you what, the guys did a great job. Casey did an awesome job driving tonight. Just unbelievable. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. That's great.
Casey had a big week, had charity events in Washington and here in California Wednesday and Thursday. Came here and won the Busch race last night and celebrates his win tonight here at California. His 5th of the season after winning 4 times in the first 15 races. Big win for him, big night for Ray Evernham and Evernham Motorsports. Kasey Kahne, one of the popular young stars in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, 26 years old. He's got the checkered flag. His 6th career victory. You know where he got his first NASCAR Nextel Cup win?
I believe that was at Richmond, Bill.
It certainly was. And that's where we'll be next weekend.
Pretty exciting.
Now I know why the engine builder has a nightmare. All right. He heads for victory lane. We head down to Dave Burns.
With Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has a big smile on his face after that. Glad to come out of here with 2nd place going into Richmond.
Sure, yeah. This is my best finish here, so we're glad really to get a 2nd anywhere, but especially California, these kind of racetracks, we've really turned that around. I'm really proud of my team. My car was great. Congratulations to Casey, and maybe we won't be battling each other for the chase. Maybe we'll both make it.
Unofficially 7th going into next week, Junior. I know that's not 2nd or 3rd, but it's a little pad.
Well, hey, just good runs, no matter what. it's one week at a time, and having a good finish is having fun, and that's what it's all about. And I don't really get into the pressure of the chase or trying to make the chase. The pressure is trying to run good, no matter what. And I'm happy for my team. Everybody, Tony Jr. made great calls. My team did great. I can't say enough about DEI and my team. I mean, they've really done everything that they could for me this year, and I'm so proud of them.
A big West Coast rebound for the 8 bunch. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon unofficially will leave Fontana 4th in the championship standings. Jeff, what a drive from 25th all the way back up to 5th.
Yeah, it certainly was. I hate that happened to us. We had a great car and we're in great position, and we just wanted to be safe, and we had such a good car that we were fortunate to be able to drive from the back up to the front. But I just got to thank Steve and all the guys making great calls, great pit stops on the DuPont Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And, I knew that 9 car was the car to beat, and we had them in our sights at times, and I guess we should feel pretty fortunate to come home 5th.
First top 5 here in 2.5 years for Jeff Gordon. Alan?
And in victory lane, where Kasey Kahne is cooling down and getting ready to climb from his car. It's going to be a happy place here.
any question what this win means to this team, I think was just answered. Congratulations. Could you have imagined this night going as well as it did? One section accepted. Could you imagine the night turning out like it did?
Not really. This was an unbelievable night to fall down a lap there. I just got over the speed limit. I didn't even notice it. I think it was just that close. We were right on the edge, and these guys fought back, had great pit stops. Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge Charger was really fast all night, and we got better when the sun went down for sure. I just can't thank this team enough. They worked their butts off trying to get us back in this chase, and this is the only way we can do it, is to lead the most laps and win a race, and at least it'll give us hope at Richmond next week.
When you got the penalty and were shuffled back to 24th, was there ever a thought of, okay, it's over tonight?
No thought at all. I was all out, man. We had to get back to the front, and Kenny did 2 tires. I think I passed about 10 cars, and then we did 2 tires and went from 12th to the lead, or to second behind Junior, and then battled by Junior and led some laps. So awesome engine, Evernham engine, the best engine I've ever had, and just everybody that supports this team, Stanley, McDonald, Siemens, the UAW, they're all great people. Hopefully we can make the chase for them.
You're now 11th in points as you were, but you're now just 30 behind 10th place going to Richmond. A thought?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how far we'd be back, but you know, 30's a lot closer to 90, and could have been a lot worse than 90. So it's a big jump. Anything can happen at Richmond. It's going to be a wild race there, and hopefully we're on a good side of things. We got 5 wins. That's the most out here.
Congratulations on a great night.
A lot.
Casey Kane, winner tonight in California, and a huge win, Bill.
A big hug from his mom. NBC Sports live in Fontana, California for the Nextel post-race report. We continue our coverage with Dave Burns.
And with Carl Edwards now, who pulls down a 4th place finish. You needed a miracle tonight. That wasn't quite it, was it?
No, we needed a miracle, but I'll tell you what, I had a good time, and that's what this is about. And I guess we're mathematically out of it now, somebody said. So congratulations to KC to sweep the weekend. That was cool. And I guess we'll just go out for 11 races, have a good time, try to win something, and prepare for 07.
Did you feel after last week, had you sort of counted yourself out, even though it wasn't mathematical, or is this the big letdown now?
Well, really, the big letdown was earlier in the year. We just kept having the bad luck, but it's still not let down, man. I get to live my dream, get to have a good time, race these cars. Office Depot's going to be on board for another couple years, so maybe we can get them in the chase next year.
Carl's first comment to me was, running the high line sure is fun here at California, Matt.
Dave, on the way out here, Clint Boyer found a lucky penny, taped it to your dash. It looks like that helped to pay off for your career best finish, 3rd. How close were you to running out?
Maybe that was God's way of paying back for the Michigan running 3rd and blowing up a 2 to go. So, you know, just an incredible call by Gil to come back in, top off of fuel. And I tell you, everybody had to pit, you know, and we stayed out and gambled. And it's just neat to, you know, finally have something go our way. Jack Daniels Chevrolet was decent all night long. I think it was about an 8th to 10th place car. And, you know, really proud of Gil for stepping up, making a good call, and having it pay off.
This team has gained so much momentum. Are you excited about going on next week to Richmond?
Yeah, we've been running good. You know, we do have the momentum. It's just frustrating not to get to finish at the end of the day. But, you know, that's a step in the right direction, and we're on our way.
Clint Boyer finishes 3rd here in Fontana. Marty?
A hard-fought 12th place finish for Mark Martin, and you guys were terrific during the daytime. Were you surprised the track didn't tighten up for you at night?
Yeah, the car got loose at night instead of tight, and we weren't prepared for that. Man, I want to thank the fans. They've been so awesome, and we went down fighting tonight. You know, we gave it everything that we had, and I'm proud of my team, you know, for fighting as hard. And, you know, we got a 12th place finish, but there was a time in the race when I really thought we were a threat to win it, but the car just never did handle right once it got dark.
You're still in 10th. How do you feel about things going into Richmond?
The race is on. You know, I've been fighting and gouging in that 6 car for 19 years. And, you know, I'm gonna fight and gouge till the very end, no matter what happens with the chase. You know, it's been a great year with AAA and all, and I'm gonna go down swinging.
It's gonna be fun next Saturday night.
With team owner Ray Evernham, Ray, watching your team under the circumstances they faced all weekend and performing tonight, what are your thoughts?
That's the way champions act. You know, they're good under pressure, and they knew they had to come here, lead the most laps, and win the race, and run good up front all night. And then, you know, to have them run 1, 2, 3, I think it's the first time in my history that we had the cars running 1, 2, 3, and it was just really great to see. It shows how hard the guys are working together. And you know, thank the Dodge dealers and UAW and Valvoline and everybody for sticking with us.
From a team owner's perspective, the guy that has to deal with the sponsors, how important is next week to you?
It's important, you know, obviously, but every win's important. You know, if we make the chase, great. We've got to go and do the same thing next week, but we also know where we were weak and what put us in this position. And, you know, we're going to work on it. We're doing all we can do, and that's all you can do. And just want to let the White family know that we're thinking about them, and we miss you, Kevin.
That's the tire specialist for the team who was not here. His mother passed away earlier this weekend. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. Here are the unofficial results from tonight's race at the California Speedway. Casey Kane started 9th at Charlotte and won. This is the first time he started 9th since then and won. Led the most laps. Got himself in position to get into the chase. Junior, Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon gets 5th. Matt Kenseth comes back for 7th. Dale Jarrett topping off. Got himself a top 10. Jimmy Johnson 11th.
Elliott Sadler wound up 13th. He was obviously one of those guys that did take tires.
It was fun watching Scott Riggs up front. He ends up 17th. There you see Jeff Burton in the 16th spot. One of the guys trying to lock into the chase. Jimmy McMurray comes home 20th. Reed Sorensen.
He went for it.
He did. Finishes 21st for the effort.
Well, these guys had a rough night from about 22nd, 23rd on. Kurt Busch, definitely a rough night.
The rookie, David Gilliland, in the 32nd spot. And on down to Terry Labonte, finished 40th. Brian Vickers, Bill Elliott, and Robbie Gordon round out the field. Here are the unofficial championship standings. 1 race to go. Matt Kenseth is the new championship leader by 9 points over Jimmy Johnson. And remember, 5 points separate each of these guys when we reset the field after Richmond. Kevin Harvick did not clinch, but will with almost virtually any finish next week. And then from Kyle Busch, even from Jeff Gordon on back. You can see Casey Kane, 30th out of 10th. Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, early in this race, it looked like Kyle Busch was the man to beat. What happened late in the race, though, Kyle?
We just kept missing a handle on the car at the end of the runs. You know, the car was very, very fast in the beginning. We could kind of take off and lead for a couple laps or whatever, but then we just get a little bit loose off the corner. So it was a good run for the Kellogg Chevrolet, though. That's all we needed. We just need to keep fighting the way we've been fighting with top 10s and top 5 finishes, and that's as good as we had for them tonight. But, you know, it's kind of weird coming down to the end of races like that, having to fend off by fuel mileage or tires or 4 or 2, whatever. But still, all in all, hopefully it's a good show for the fans. We had fun inside the cars and ended up being a good, cool night. So we'll go on to Richmond.
5th in the championship standings heading into Richmond. How do you feel about things?
I feel good about Richmond. You know, 3 runs there, we finished better than 5th all 3 times. So if we can go there and do what we've done the past 3 times and just have a good, solid run again, you know, I think we'll be fine. And I think you'll see the number 5 Kellogg Chevrolet strong in the chase and going to Loudon and trying to win that thing.
You going to worry about points for the next 7 days?
You can't. I mean, all you're going to do is just put your stomach and everything else into an uproar. So you might as well just go after it and do it when you get there at Richmond.
Kyle Busch 5th in the championship standings, hoping his place in the chase is secure. Dave?
And Denny Hamlin, you know, reasonably secure. I guess the one thing is, though, that a great finish here, and you get to go home next week.
Yeah, it's good to go home and finish this thing up. And we're looking at it as we got 11 more, not 1 more. So, you know, we feel like we're you know, good enough to make this chase, and you know, kind of sick of finishing 6th all the time, but I'd like to have those top 5s, but still a great run for us.
This is a race that had a lot of strategy going on at the end. How did you feel overall performance-wise with your team tonight?
To have a top 5 car all night long, especially when you know, this goes from day to night, is extremely odd, and you know, I think the 9 had the best car all day. We just you know, came up a little bit short, but I'm very proud of the whole FedEx team and all the effort they put in.
And you feel like you've been pacing yourself enough to have enough juice for the last 10?
Yeah, I was digging just as hard as I could. I was just upset to see that scoreboard, and we were in the teens or something after we've been running top 5 all day with those guys trying to risk it on fuel. But you know, a few of them beat us on fuel, but still 6 is not bad.
All right, Virginia native Denny Hamlin goes home next week, tries to improve his position even more. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. Unofficially 102 points from 4th to 11th. And guys like Kyle Busch can say they're not going to be thinking about it between now and the time we get to Richmond.
They are going to be thinking about it. I don't care what they say. And as soon as the interview was over,
yes,
he was thinking about it
then. It'll be a long week for those guys, and barring a tie mathematically, only 10 of these 11 guys are going to make it. Carl Edwards and Craig Biffle mathematically eliminated tonight. So it's 11 guys for 10 spots when we go to Richmond, Virginia next week. One of the most exciting tracks on the NASCAR Nextel Cup circuit. The final race before the chase begins.
Should be fun.
It's a combination, short track and super speedway. So almost anything can happen there. You can get caught up in somebody else's mistake, or your car could go away.
Yeah, there's a lot that can happen, but I'll tell you one thing about Richmond. You'll definitely see great racing. I mean, it's a fun race to watch.
It's a fantastic track. And we'll go there next week. You'll see it on TNT. Our coverage begins with Bud Pole qualifying on Friday night. Casey Kane in victory lane, his 5th win of the season. And he puts himself in position to get into the NASCAR Nextel Cup chase for the championship next week. He's 11th behind Burton, Martin, Stewart, Hamlin, Earnhardt, Busch, Gordon, and Harvick. Johnson and Kenseth already locked in. It's a track where Casey Kane got his first Nextel Cup win, and he'll be looking for his next Cup Series win when we get there and drop the green flag on Saturday night. And we'll look forward to having our buddy Benny Parsons back with us when we get to Richmond next week for all the action. So these guys are going to take some photos. They'll go through post-race inspection, and then they will start worrying about what can happen next week at Richmond. TNT's your home for NASCAR next weekend. Friday's coverage starts at 6 p.m. with Bud Pole qualifying, followed by the Busch Series race. Then it's the final race before the chase, the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 from Richmond. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's your late local news. So Casey Kane comes to California, wins the Busch race on Saturday, and does what he has to do on Sunday night. Takes his team and his hopes to victory lane. He's got one more crack. Enjoy your week, everybody. These guys will be sweating it, and we'll be ready to rock and roll at Richmond next weekend.
Stop, stop, stop. Back up. Good job, boss. Good job.
He won last night in the Busch race. Casey Kane